is hurt by someone mentioning tacos, the fact that Trump always chickens out. Yeah, that's a problem. But there is also another listing on the background, and that's the performative left. Now, I know the word performative might be a bit taboo on this app, but I think that there's a lot of people that consider themselves to be on the left, but all they do is talk about the left. And when I say talk about the left, I mean there's certain people on the left who, for some reason, either don't really understand accountability, or they're more concerned about this issue, that issue, this issue, that issue, but refuse to actually do what it takes to actually win an election, to actually go out and register new voters, to get people to vote for what you want them to vote for. And don't get it twisted. I'm not talking about those moderate. I'm not talking about those mediocre moderates who for some reason want to target MAGA. Those mediocre moderates who feel like they need to, straddle the fence, and we have to get those people on our side. We don't need them. We don't need them. What we need is for the left to not be lazy and go out and take care of business. But again, I know it's very hard to actually do any of that when you have people who put their feelings over facts. And I understand Trump supporters, MAGA. I understand that it's easy. It's easy and it's comfortable for you to actually say, hey, I don't want to know things. I don't want to know things. I rather speak from the feelings in my tum-tum. It's much easier. It's much easier defending a position when you don't actually have to understand the position. It's much easier defending a position when you don't have facts. You said, bro, didn't you get canceled? Oh, I don't think so, Diggy or Shiggy. I don't know. I don't think I got canceled. How about you come up in the box and tell me why I got canceled? Matter of fact, I just sent you an invite. Get in the box. Come and tell me about it. Let's talk about it. First of all, you can't cancel what won't die. So good luck. Second of all, are you going to talk or are you going to get in the box? Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Another coward. Anywho, last but not least, the non-voter. The non-voter. Non-voters, you make my ass itch. Non-voters, you make my ass itch. If you voted for Kanye West, if you voted for RFK Jr., if you voted for anyone that didn't have an actual chance of winning, you're a non-voter. If you actually got in your car and drove to your polling place and voted for Jill Stein, RFK Jr., for Kanye West, hell, Cornel West, hell, anybody else, you wasted your time. You wasted your time. You wasted your gas. and you made yourself look stupid. I have not heard a non-voter defend the position of why they didn't vote. You think so, Raiden? Get in the box. Democrats are living through FAFO. Hey, Bud, I think everyone's living through FAFO, especially Trump supporters. Or maybe not. You know, Raiden, first of all, you got your invites off, so I can't even send you an invite to come up. So get in the box. But Trump supporters are absolutely living through FAFO. One, because they don't understand how things work, right? And the world is super scary when you don't know how anything works. But Trump supporters, we understand that people that vote for the right tend to be less educated. And since they're less educated, they tend to actually make less money. And Donald Trump and the Trump administration has done nothing to benefit the lower income earners. I mean, hell, they're actually actively harming lower income earners, from cutting social safety nets to specifically passing bills that will pass on the tax burden to those actual lower income earners. So we understand what's happening. We get it. I'm gonna call you BI53. Is that all right? BI53?
Yeah.
BI53, how are you?
Good, my brother. Good.
Good. Hey, BI53, question for you. Did you vote left, right, or are you a non-voter?
I voted left, I guess. I voted for Harris.
Okay. So listen, just to make sure we're clear, what do you disagree with on the background? Do you disagree that moderates are mediocre? Or do you disagree with there's a lot of performative people on the left? Or
Actually,
we can talk about how the left is lazy, because that's a thing too.
yeah, I could see that. I could see the left being lazy. They didn't get out there and do. But realistically speaking, um, Kamala Harris, she really didn't have a good shot. Biden should have bowed out after his first term, like he said he was going to do, and give
Yeah.
her give her.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, Joe Biden broke the contract that he made with the Democratic voter. I agree with that, and I think there's a lot to be said about that. But I don't want to put the focus on Joe Biden nor Kamala Harris. I want to put the focus square on the voters, right? And because the point of this one, the point of having anybody up is to request up if you disagree with any of the points on the background. But also two, it's to actually hold the feet to the fire of the voters, right? Because there's people on the left to blame, there's people on the right to blame, and there's also people who didn't vote to blame. And so I have to understand. I mean, like I want to make sure that we're on the same page. Which point do you actually disagree with? Because you
Well,
said you agree that the left can be lazy, and so I'm not going to hold you on that one. But do you disagree that moderates are mediocre, or do you disagree that the left is performative?
actually, I honestly, I'm an older brother, man. I'm
Hmm.
almost 70 years old.
Hmm.
And a lot of the words I really don't know. You know what I mean?
No worries. Moderates are those people who vote for the left, but they don't necessarily lean into the things, right? They would much rather, the moderates are people that voted for Donald Trump. I'm sorry, voted for Kamala Harris, but that was just to vote against Donald Trump. They don't want to go as far as like universal health care. They don't want to go as far as, free education. They don't want to go as far as, equal rights for everyone, codifying Roe v. Wade so women can have access to bodily autonomy. They're people that want, just to basically keep it in the middle and not go too far. So those are moderates. Would you say you're a moderate, or where do you fall?
I wouldn't say that. You know, I might have came in on the wrong live. You know what
No
I mean?
worries.
You know what I'm saying? But I, I I don't feel like I fell into that, and I don't feel like the Democrats that voted fall into that category either.
Ooh.
When I voted for Kamala Harris, I voted for the things she was going to do. First time loans for
Mm-hmm.
first time
Mm-hmm.
homeowners, the whole thing for education, the farm aid that she was putting out there for
Mm-hmm.
people. I mean,
Listen. So just to make sure you understand, I voted for Kamala Harris as well, right? But there are certain people who don't really understand what's actually needed, right? There's certain people who want there's certain people who are like, I would love a third term of Barack Obama, and that's not me, right? Because I think that we need to progress, we need to go further, we need to lean into the things that make us special, right? We need to actually engage in those things that a lot of people feel like, oh, that's too much. We need to have gender affirming care for kids. We need to be able to teach critical race theory in schools. We need to embrace DEIA. We need to do all those things. And that moderates, they don't agree with that.
can I say something?
Would disagree with that.
Hold on 1 second. Red, you said what?
Would disagree with all that you just said. That's crazy.
You do? Awesome. All right. Hey, BI53, I'm gonna go ahead and drop you down, friend, because it seems like you're a little bit. Listen, it seems like you and I aren't too far apart, and but I'm gonna drop you down. I appreciate you coming up.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna say this real quick before I start talking to Red. Hey, you know what, Richardo, or whatever your name is, listen, but I'm gonna go ahead and mute you, right? I'm gonna mute you, but I'm not gonna block you. If you want to get your comments off, get in the box. Get in the box. Anywho, Red. So, question for you: did you vote left? Did you vote right, or are you a non-voter?
Right.
Ooh, okay, all right, perfect. Red, give me 1 second here. Do you know who I am?
Seen you before.
Awesome. All right, perfect. Well, listen, my name's Santana, right? And this is Sparring with Santana. Now, a lot of people are used to seeing me debate only Trump supporters, MAGA, right? But things have changed, Red. I don't know if you could pick up on that, because there's multiple things on the background, and I'm not just talking about MAGA. I'm talking about the left. I'm talking about the right. I'm talking about non-voters. And so, Red, would you mind giving me just a moment to give everyone a proper introduction to what this is?
Good. I need a proper introduction.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah. You're much more of a Thanos.
You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me. The hardest choices require the strongest wills. This day extracts a heavy toll.
Listen, Red, chat, just so you understand, I am not the good guy. Not in this situation. I have smoke for every single person. So if you disagree with anything on the background, get in the box. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care if you didn't vote. Get in the box. I have smoke for everyone. Now we have Red up here, and Red voted right. So Red, help me understand which category do you fall in? Are you a part of the MAGA taco cult, or are you someone that puts your feelings over facts?
With a MAGA taco cult.
Oh, yeah. Your President Glass, he's sensitive. He's soft. He's SAWFT, soft. And he is upset that there's been a phrase coined, TACO, which stands for Trump always chickens out. Speaking of how he is back and forth when it comes to the tariffs, right? So that's where taco comes from. So are you a part of the taco cult?
I would consider myself part of the taco cult.
Cool, cool. Red, why did you vote for Donald Trump?
I want a government that follows the actual law of the Constitution, not all these rules, codes, guidelines, and statutes that these people are making up on the fly, even though they're not duly elected.
Hold on, Red. You said wait, hold on, because I make okay, hold on. Start over. Say that first part again for me one more time.
I want a government
Uh-huh.
follows the Constitution,
Ooh.
not all the rules, codes, guidelines, and statutes that these people make up on the fly.
Oh, okay, cool. Hey, Red, quick question for you before we go any further. Quick question.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God, stop fucking lying.
Red, you said that you wanted a government that follows the Constitution, follows the law. Red, you voted for a 34 count felon who wants to abolish the Constitution and who is actively attacking the Constitution, the last president to actually be found in complete violation of the Constitution, and it was overturned by the Supreme Court. I'm so confused, Red.
Well, are you a communist? Are you one of those, oh, we need to socialize everything, get everything free people? Is that
I am not a communist. I am not. I am more of a socialist than anything. Like, I definitely believe in, like, hey, everyone should be able to actually be taken care of. Everyone should have access to healthcare. Everyone should have access to food, housing, all this other stuff. But I do believe in some capitalism. I count my shekels. And as a matter of fact, Red. W's in the chat for Gene, who sent a $1 donation, and Gene said, did I miss something? What is tacos about? Gene, I've already told you about the tacos, but we'll get more into it. Also, W's in the chat for Chris sent a $5 donation saying, thank you for coming through the live I was a part of. The amount of love and support I got from everyone was overwhelming, and I cried afterwards. Listen, Chris, you are freaking amazing. I'm so proud of you. You did a great job. Guys, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links are in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks 24. Santana Speaks 24 is the best way to support the live. So if you enjoy the information, education, entertainment, please consider donating. Everything is accepted. Anything is appreciated. And also, if you're over on YouTube, what up, YouTube? What up, Twitch? If you're over on YouTube, make sure you're hitting that like button. And also, if you would like to support the live, you can do so with a YouTube super chat, which if you put a message, I will read that out. So yeah, no, Red, I am definitely someone who believes in social safety nets, but I definitely believe in capitalism as well. Like, it's my shekels.
What about oppressing your political opponent?
Oppressing your political opponent. Do you mean like locking up judges and mayors?
Exactly like that.
Okay, cool. So you're referring to the Trump administration and specifically the Trump DOJ going after the Newark, New Jersey mayor and also the judge in Wisconsin, because literally that just happened.
I'm just asking you a question. If
Yeah,
that's something you support.
Yeah, no, it's not. I definitely do not support targeted political actions that would actually, lock people up.
Speaking, if somebody were to open that can of worms, somebody was to
it's already open, friend.
It is open. I completely agree with you there. If somebody was to open that can of worms, would you say, that other person, if they came to power, they should do the same? Should they ignore it? Like, what would you say if that were to happen to somebody, and then they came to power anyway?
Yeah, so with opening that can of worm, that is a fast track to authoritarian rule, and I do not want to be under an authoritarian regime. So if someone, quote unquote, opened that can of worms, then I would want someone to put a lid back on it, right? To cover it up with, foil or whatever you got to do. But I am not someone that says, well, this president did it, so this president should do it or whatever. Like, that's not how this works.
I agree completely. 100% agreement. I want to ask you one last thing. Do you think black people are qualified to be Democrats or Republicans?
I think black people are qualified to be any and everything from a Democrat to a Republican to someone that actually runs the country to someone that actually flies plane. I mean, black people are magic, so there's no cap on what they qualify for. Now, I do understand people, black people are not a monolith, and they vote for their best interest. But I also understand that the Republican Party has not done anything, not only for black people, but for everyday Americans, and they haven't done anything for everyday Americans in over 60 years. So voting for a Republican is nonsensical.
Bro, that was awesome. I have a question. Hi.
Hold on. What up, E?
Hey, bro. Like, hi. What kind of question was that? What do you mean by qualified? Like, can you please expound and like explain that to the class
As
so
black
that we may
people,
understand?
we live in a country where there are two political powers that are always in power, and neither of them have our best interest at heart.
Hold on one second. Hey, D7, no, I won't let you up.
Absolutely.
One, that's not how you get into the live. I can see you in the box, but that's not how you get up. I don't just let you up. Also, two, you may be confused. This is not Late Nights with Santana. This is Sparring with Santana. This is debates, and I am not looking for a panel. Please understand that if you get in the box, you will get these hands. I have smoke for everyone. So just making sure you understand. My bad, E. Go ahead.
Oh, no worries. So you're saying that neither party cares about black people. Is that what you're saying?
It shows that neither party has our best interest at heart.
Okay. All right. So it's categorically true that the Democratic Party over the last 40 years has created 50 million jobs under their presidents, but the Republican Party has only created about 1 million jobs. All right, mostly been that we can attribute that to basically being a product of black job growth. All right, so a byproduct of that, I should say, is black job growth. So we have that in place. You have to tell us, because you voted for the Republican Party, you voted for Donald Trump. How can I put this nicely? What has the conservative party actually done for you? What has conservatism done for you as a black man?
Also, follow up. What are you conserving?
That part too.
Claim to be a conservative.
That's what you voted for, love. So what are you?
I literally just told you that we're not qualified to be Republicans or Democrats.
Okay, so what are you?
I'm an independent.
But you voted for the right, and you also said you were part of the MAGA taco cult.
Yeah, you told me what you think that is, and I said, okay, I could do that, sure.
I'm convinced that this man doesn't know what he is.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Hey, Red,
and I'm a black man in America, and neither of these parties have our best interest at heart.
Sure, I hear you. Listen, so with that being said, then, Red, what's your solution, bud?
Is that we work together in our own communities and do what we have to do, as we always have, as the Black Panthers have, as Martin Luther King has, as Malcolm X has, as the Tulsa has, as Detroit has, as we have always.
I hear you. Hey, Red, so one, what have you actually done to spark said movement that you're speaking to? And also, two, how do you recommend that we gain political power with whatever movement that you are actually proposing?
Don't use political power. What they're pushing to us, this democracy thing doesn't exist. This is a constitutional republic, and what we need to do is stand on our rights. I have 21,000 followers. I come on this platform and teach legal literacy. We talk about the Constitution. We talk about consumer rights. We talk about civil rights and how to use them in real life.
Are you familiar with the straw man?
Sure.
Are you a Moor?
Well, I don't want to do your bullshit. Where I'm talking about.
Hey, watch your mouth, bud.
This bullshit is what she's doing now.
Yeah, I hear you, but don't talk to Erica like that.
I'm telling her, don't talk to me like that.
Yeah, I hear you. Listen, the simple fact of the matter is that I am not gonna disagree with the sentiment that Black people need to actually be more united and actually work towards a common goal. I will absolutely disagree though with your thought process that we don't need to actually have political power. I mean, the simple fact of the matter is that you have to work within the rules of the actual structure. Now, if you can actually gain power within that structure, you can then make changes, but you can't hate from outside of the club. You just can't.
You
Right.
have
So
to
if
be able to
like
work within the system.
exactly.
So it's my opinion that the vote, I'm not saying the vote is not important, but what we do with our money every single day is more important.
I
For us
absolutely
to-
agree with that.
For us to sit
Thank you
here
for
and
the
act like,
bananas.
oh, GOTV, get out the vote, and then every day you want to go to Amazon, every day you want to go to Walmart, every day you want to go to Tesla, every day you're going to go to those things that you're saying you disagree with. I think fundamentally that's ridiculous.
But what I think is ridiculous is that you think that you can have one. Listen, love and marriage goes together like a horse and carriage. You can't have one without the other, plain and simple. Like it makes no sense for you to say, oh, we're just gonna withhold our money, but we're not gonna pursue any type of political capital. You have to do both. You absolutely have to do both. That's how you actually make effective change.
But the Jews don't do it, the Asians don't do it, and they're experiencing growth in every metric that I can think of.
You got. I saw your hand up. I apologize.
No, it's fine. I wasn't ready for that that last line.
Yeah, I know.
I was just thinking about the part of building, because he mentioned Tulsa. He mentioned a few different things, and I feel that it was. I don't feel. I know that it was pretty broad. There were no actual details behind it. It seems more so like idealism rather than something that's been fleshed out. But with that being said, you have to think that the party that you voted alongside, conservatives, the Republican Party, that's the same group of people that destroyed the Rosewoods, that flooded Lake Lanier, that got rid of Seneca Village, that also destroyed and bombed Tulsa.
Yep.
All right. So that's the same party that did that, yet you voted alongside them.
Yep.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Nope.
So I want you to say, with the history of this country, and we know how they move, all right, if we were to build our own, all right, who's to say that they won't bomb it again, that they won't destroy it again?
You literally put the power of the back into the hands of those people, where if you were successful with your thought process, with your premise, they can come and not only snatch it away, but shut it down, burn it to the ground, and make sure that it is never going to happen. That doesn't make sense. It seems like you're working. Some motherfuckers just love ice skating uphill.
Love ice skating uphill.
I disagree. And here's why. When we talk about
and Red, I'm sorry, I wanted to say one more thing. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to cut you off, love. There's one more thing I wanted to add on to that, is the fact that in order to prevent that from happening, and I may be giving you the answer here, but in order to prevent that from happening, we have to be able to work within the system which is at play. We have to have our people in that system, in government, in Congress, in the Senate. Also, if we can have them working in the White House, by all means. If we can have them on the Supreme Court, by all means. So we have to be able to have people working in those places that will actually protect us. We can't just, we unfortunately, it's not going to be, separatism is not going to work in the United States of America for Black people. Every single time we build, they destroy it. All right. So unless y'all want to find a colony to go to, separatism is not going to work. You're going to have to learn how to work within this system.
Also, I would just love, and I'm going to give it to you in a second, Red, but I would love to acknowledge the fact that, because I've had, yeah, I'll ask that question. I've had this conversation before, and the thought process is that, oh, like we need to pool the black dollar, and the actual question that I have is, like, how big of an impact that would that make, in the sense of, like, I get that the black dollar is powerful. Like, let's not get it twisted, but we also have to understand that, logically speaking, the percentage of the population that we are within the U.S., and then also understanding that the actual majority of the wealth is coalesced in the top 1%. I mean, yes, we can all come together and pool our money and boycott and all this other stuff. But you have to be realistic and understanding, like, hey, where does that actually go? Because yeah, you still have to buy something. And I don't know. It just like it doesn't make sense. And to Erica's point, we just got to figure out how to not only work within the system, but work smarter. And just it doesn't make sense. I'm sorry.
So I disagree with a lot of what's saying. I agree with you guys on where you're trying to get to, but I think the method that you're taking is actually you guys ice skating uphill.
Okay,
So I don't
explain how.
believe that voting for a party that's going to empower the federal government, right? You guys want to give more taxes, you want health care, you want all this shit, that all of that is going to take more money to the federal government, to the state government. And those are the places, when we talk about what happened in Tulsa, Detroit, segregate, when we talk about all of those things, empowering the government is what allowed all those things to happen. So I just fundamentally agree with giving them any more power than they have. I just don't think giving them more money or more power in any way, shape, or form is going to help us. So this cycle, I voted for Donald Trump. Immediately fired a bunch of federal workers. Immediately, he's getting rid of taxes. We're getting
He's
deductions.
not getting rid of taxes.
That's your opinion, but if
no, it's factual.
There's a $25,000 deduction for tips and overtime. I'm sorry, it is what it is. It's a fact.
I hear
You
you,
guys
but
can
that's not
disagree with
getting
it.
rid of taxes.
You can disagree with it, but
that's
reality,
not getting rid of taxes.
yes, it
think you
is.
missed what I
Taking
said, though.
$25,000 from what would go to the federal government and keeping it in the hands of the people is getting rid of.
You take this for a moment. I'll be right back.
Fundamentally, I disagree with what you guys are saying. And I think that if you're going to say, hey, the federal government, the state governments got together, the CIA got together and did all these experiments, they did all of these attacks on people of color, and then they give those governments more money and more power, I think that's ridiculous.
Okay, there's a few things here. First, I think you missed my point. You missed my point. I didn't say just give power back to the government. I said we need our people working within the system to protect us. So focus on that part. Secondly, in regards to, okay.
Just don't think that working within the system, I don't think that you need to be a representative. I don't think that you need to be a congressman. I don't think that you need to be a president. I think we need to do what the J people are doing, and you need to be that institution.
They have senators.
You need to be that BlackRock. You need to be that.
They have congressmen. We have Jewish Supreme Court justices. Like, what are you saying?
Let me finish.
I don't want to.
Okay.
And the reason why I don't want to is because it's not making any sense whatsoever what it is that you're saying. To me, it's not. And I want you to make it make sense. So how do we actually gain this independence and this ability to work within the United States as Black people? Because you say it's the power of the Black dollar, right? But do we have the infrastructure to actually spend our own Black dollar amongst ourselves?
I think it is disingenuous for you to claim that 1% is in control of everything, but then turn around and say 13%. Who spends the most money can't exert the same control. I am not talking about just in the United States or just in continental America. I'm talking about worldwide. I'm talking about people of color getting out of subjugation by using common sense, right? Stop empowering your enemy.
Okay. So stop empowering your enemy is what you're saying. What other way do we go about it, though? We have to, well, unless you have the ability to just move out of the country, and not everyone has that ability to go live elsewhere. All right, how do we operate within this system? You're not answering that question for me. That's the thing. I ask very, very like specific questions, very succinct questions, and I want to know the answer to the question, and I want to know it in a way that actually makes sense. So if you have to explain it to me like on 5, and I'm going to give you a few seconds to actually think about it, but I want to get these off real quick. All right. Hey, shout out to Phil for the $10. Phil said, happy birthday. Thank you so much, Phil. If you're here, thank you so much. Love you. All right. Also, shout out to Emmanuel. Thank you so much, young man, for the 20. Emmanuel said, "Happy birthday, Erica. Continue being the amazing person you are." Also, tell Red he's full of shit. The federal government right now is cutting state funds for clean water access in Black cities in Alabama and other communities claiming environmental justice is DEI. That's what you voted for. Thank you. Y'all draw some heart. Well, they do W's here, but draw some hearts in the chat for Phil and Emmanuel, y'all. Thank you so much. All right. So can you help explain that? Because this is what you voted for,
So,
Red.
again, Black people are not a monolith. I'm not going to tell you that there's one thing that all Black people need to do in order to achieve some sort of freedom or get out of subjugation. We all need to do what we're pulled to do. The problem is when we look at the system, a lot of people don't recognize that there's systems within the system, right? There's systems outside of the system and there's systems within the system. You can get in where you fit in. I'm not here to tell everybody what to do. I'm here to get people to think about the effect the things that they're doing is having, right? If you're sitting here saying, "Oh, I hate Republicans," but then you're shopping at Walmart, you're shopping at Amazon, and these people are going to go and directly campaign funds. I'm not here to tell you how to vote. I'm not here to tell you how to live or how to think. I'm here to get you to see that what you're doing is not in congruency with what you believe in. That's it. And however you find, there's a podcast Gavin Newsom had. He had what's that the guy Trump's advisor from last time. They're both on there and they talk about the law of agency, right? When we get rid of all these rules and regulations that are hindering American businesses, you can go decide how you want to do that. If the government's not cleaning your water and not protecting your water, do it yourself.
Do it yourself? Yeah, you're exactly what I thought that you were. You're full of shit. And I say that very kindly. I do. I say it very kindly. You're full of it. And the reason why I say that you're full of it is because you said that we're not a monolith. You said we're not a monolith. All right. And that we're all going to have to figure it out for ourselves. That doesn't sound like working as a, go ahead. What do I miss?
You disagree.
I do. I don't think that. No, I do not think that
we're not a monolith.
Let me finish. Thank you. What I'm saying is, I do not think that we're a monolith. No. Do I think that we need to practice on group economics and working together if we want to build better community here? Yes, I do think that part. But doing it yourself makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Who is going to have the systems, the machines to do the reverse osmosis? Who has that? Are they just supposed to go buy that somewhere? Like, what is you on? Build it? Sir, build it. You know what? It's people like you who live in this delusion, right? Because we're literally in reality and you're living in delusion. All right, since we can just build it, sir, why haven't you just built it? Why haven't you just built it? Why don't you just build it, Bob the Builder? Thank you, Dr. Steele, for that one. Why don't you just build it, Bob? All right, and take it down to Alabama so these people can have clean water.
Well,
do you not think that it is the government's responsibility to actually provide these essentials to their citizens?
No,
literally, clean water is a basic. Water should be free, first of all, but you don't think it's a basic human right to have clean water?
No, I think that if you want clean water, you have to go get the water and clean it.
Yeah, you're fucking trolling me, and you lucky I don't have my
That's not a troll at all.
Hey, shout out to the Parker Raid.
Where are
Y'all
you getting the idea that it's the government's job to
I'm
get
talking,
you clean
sir,
water?
and I don't have mod power, so I can't mute you.
But can you tell me where you're getting that idea from? Where are you getting the idea that it's the government's responsibility?
It's a part of the infrastructure. It's a part of the government's. It's a part of our country's infrastructure. All right. And it even says it in the Constitution, and I will look it up for you to get the exact wording. But it is the government's job to take care of these things. And for Donald Trump to think something as simple as clean water, because clean water should be something simple. We all should have the right to drink clean water. And push the narrative that is a DEIA, and it's something that is bad to have clean water. You really do have to stop and think about that, Red, and think just where his intention actually lies. Does it not sound like he is trying to basically harm people? Are you
So-
okay with harming people?
No, you're straw manning and you're changing my position. This is what you just did. You
I'm
just
not
took
straw
me
manning or
saying,
changing
you
it.
just took me saying it's not the government's job to give you clean water, and turned it into you shouldn't
it
have
is.
clean water, or it's bad to have clean water. That is
I
literally
did
straw
not say
manning
that it's
by
bad to have
definition.
clean water. I
You
didn't
made
say
the claim that I said that, and I never
I
said
didn't
that.
say that
I
you
said
said
that
that.
you are
Oh my
responsible
God. Do
for
you
it yourself.
listen? Do you listen? When you're on mute, are you talking? Are you just listening to respond?
Do you know
Because
what
you're
straw
not listening. You're not listening. I never said that. I said Donald Trump has taken something as simple as clean water and made it a bad thing. He's made it a bad thing.
How is he?
That's what he said. That's not you saying that. Because, dear, what he has done is he has villainized the acronym DEI, and it's actually DEIA. What it stands for is
water.
Because he said that the environmental policies that we have in place to provide these communities, Larry, I can't read that now. To provide these communities with clean water is a part of DEI. And do you know what that means? What he thinks about DEIA? Do you know what he thinks about it? Yes or no? If you don't, I'll be happy to tell you.
I'm aware of what he thinks of it. I'm also aware of the ESG requirements and what they were changing to and what they wanted to do over the next 10 years, which was ridiculous.
Okay, so you're aware that Donald Trump thinks that it's something that basically is given to people, that they don't deserve it, that they're not qualified. So basically what he's saying is that these people are not deserving of clean water. Is what he's saying.
You're making logical fallacies
it's not a logical fallacy
and incredible Hulk-sized jumps.
You just can't simply answer a question because you know that I am correct. That is all that there is to it. You already know it. You know that you voted for Donald Trump and his cruelty simply because you couldn't vote for the black woman. That is typically it with you all. With your type, your ilk. Y'all do not change y'all feathers. Y'all do not change y'all stripes.
The racism, misogyny. Go ahead. Go off.
The racism, misogyny. What? I'm sorry, what?
Every liberal, you have to do it. Go ahead. Here's your chance.
I have no idea what it is you're talking about right now.
You're going to say I didn't vote for her because she's a woman, not because she invented unrealized capital gains tax, which is the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard.
She invented it?
Yeah.
She invented unrealized capital gains tax, is what you just said. That was something that never existed before.
It doesn't exist now. Good thing she didn't get in office.
I want to look that one up. Let's see here. I'm looking that one up. I really got to look that one up.
People on shit that they don't have is crazy.
It actually is. No, that's not true. That's definitely not true.
What do you mean it's not true?
That's not true.
What do you mean it's not true? What do you mean? It didn't happen. She didn't get elected.
Let me see here. Okay, so no, she did not invent it. She didn't invent it. It's something that's been proposed over the years. Yeah, show us the article where it says that she invented it. The report, the article. Show us where she invented. No, you said she invented it. We know that capital gains tax has been around for some time.
Unrealized capital gains tax doesn't exist in reality.
I want you to give us a source that tells us that she's the one that invented it. I'm telling you right now,
because she didn't get elected,
right now that she actually did not invent this. It's something that's been around for quite a while. The unrealized capital gains tax
doesn't exist. There's no tax on unrealized capital gains.
Raid. Welcome in, Dan Raid. Welcome in, Dan Raid. Now, provide a source.
To provide a source,
you do need to provide a source. You said this is something that she proposed. You didn't even say proposed. You said she invented it.
I don't have to.
Stand on it.
Didn't get elected, and it doesn't exist.
Stand on it. Yes, trust me, bro. Is the source. Stand on it.
You're trying to run from the fact that it was a bad policy and she didn't.
It wasn't a bad policy. If it's money, that they're hoarding, why don't they have to pay taxes on it?
Because they own it and it's not money. It's property. It's stocks. It's bonds. It isn't money. That's what you don't understand. That's why it's unrealized. It would be realized if it was money.
This is her proposal was a part of a broader economic plan that aims to ensure that the wealthiest individuals pay a minimal tax rate on their income.
Okay.
So income can be the things in which you include it. So why can they pay a tax on it? Tell me. Teach me something.
Here, let me stop being condescending. So if I were to buy a stock,
Where the hell you come from?
Say there's a stock and
I popped in like magic just to check for a second. Did you say let you stop being condescending?
Yeah, because she asked me to teach her something and I was gonna be rude and I decided not to because I think she may actually be in good faith asking a question. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I hear you. Listen, E, I still need a few more minutes. I'm actually trying to fix something on the back end.
Okay.
Are you good? I mean, we have Chase in the box if you want to talk to him as well.
I don't know who Chase is.
Oh, or you know what? Let's do this. I'm gonna bring a tag team partner for you for a few minutes if you don't mind, E. Because I want you guys to,
I was thinking of bringing up Hawk because Hawk just mentioned the wealth tax.
Yep.
He's saying
I'll be right back, guys.
Hawk, you heard him say that Kamala Harris invented the unrealized capital gains tax.
Right, and
that's not true.
What I put in the chat to you is, again, use a different name. It's a tax on the wealthy, right? So very technically speaking, the terminology that you're using, you could be right. That's the first person. She might be the first person that have specifically said to tax the unrealized capital gains, but it's a wealth tax, which has been talked about for years, if not decades, taxing the wealth of these rich people or whatever instead of just their income, because most of them don't have an income. They get their wealth through the stock market. They get their wealth through their investments, right? So if we could figure out a way to tax their wealth, then we could balance things out more and not have this extreme wealth gap that we have between the rich and the poor. That's all she was talking about. So the specificity that it was a tax on unrealized capital gains is not the issue. It was a wealth tax.
I could agree with you there. If we were to call it something else, we could say this goes back to the 40s, 50s, 60s, depending on how you word it. But the fact of the matter is, wealthy people aren't the ones who benefit from taxes. It's everybody else. Most of the time, they're locked out of the system. I'm
sorry, sir. You're wrong. Back in the 40s, rich people and corporations were paying as much as 90% in taxes. Up until the 70s, it was still 70% in taxes. And they paid for all the benefits that we got. And education was free until Reagan came in. And then Reagan cut that 70% taxes on those wealthy people and corporations down to 37% and started talking about trickle-down economics, meaning that if we let them keep more of their profits, that money would trickle down to the employees. That has never happened. It didn't work. And now we have an extreme wealth gap because not even did that money not trickle down, they're paying us less and less every year. The freaking minimum wage hasn't increased. The minimum wage hasn't increased in over 25 years.
Right? I know you said I was wrong, but then you explained exactly how I'm right. You literally just pointed straight to how I'm telling you is a fact.
No, sir. If we put regulations,
I just told you that it came from the 40s.
Okay, do me a favor, sir, and stop.
You told me about the legislation that made it happen in the 70s.
I didn't interrupt you, and every time I start talking, you talk over me. That did not prove anything that you said, right? The taxes that we're talking about, the taxes.
The language. You could say that it went back to the same time period that you're explaining it happened in.
But the part that you're missing is that the lower income people did not benefit from those tax breaks or whatever. The corporations did. The CEOs got more pay. The shareholders got bigger dividends. Corporations got richer. The top 1% got richer, and the bottom 50% got nothing.
I want you to try to be objective here. We know for a fact there was no trillionaires, there was no billionaires in the 40s and 50s, right? So it's obvious.
Actually, that's not true, sir. There were billionaires. There were no trillionaires. There still aren't. But there was billionaires. I'm sorry, I said that wrong, but you know what I meant. There were billionaires back in the 40s.
You're going to say that there was that the wealth gap hasn't increased since the 40s and 50s and 60s?
No, I didn't say that. Well, what I'm telling you
stop
is,
trying to be a contrarian and listen to what I'm saying, brother. Because
do not tone police me. Stop that. Let's just have the conversation.
Nobody's telling you about your tone. But you're saying I'm wrong, but then you're agreeing with what
I'm not agreeing with anything that you say. Thank you, whoever did that. I'm not agreeing with anything that you say. You're trying to twist the words that I'm using, right? There were billionaires back in the 40s, and corporations were making decent profits. This is the time period that we grew our middle class, which is why we had a middle class, which is why in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, when you probably were born, that you could have a one-income family and a car, or maybe 2 cars or whatever, and everything was comfortable. We can't do that anymore because of the taxes and the lack of regulations that I'm explaining to you that the Republican Party did. It started with the tax breaks to the rich, and they've been doing them ever since. Again, I told you it was 70%, give or take, when Reagan was in office. He cut it in half to 37%. It's currently, what, 17%? Something crazy like that or whatever. So they're giving them tax breaks so they don't have to pay taxes on a lot of the money that they have. And yet we're still paying the same taxes, in some cases more taxes than we were in the 70s. Explain to me how that's me agreeing with you.
So you're saying that there was billionaires in the 40s is just incorrect. There wasn't even enough money in circulation for there to be.
Do me a favor. Who's Rockefeller? Who's Rockefeller? I'm sorry, sir. Who's Rockefeller? Who's Rockefeller?
The problem. Hold on.
Who's Rockefeller? No, stop. No. You made a claim. I need you to prove that claim. Who's Rockefeller?
The CEO of Standard Oil.
And was he not a billionaire?
No.
Oh my God!
You could say that his fortune was worth $1 billion in today's money because the dollar has devalued, but he did not have $1 billion.
Do me a favor. Stop right. Don't do that. Stop right now and go look it up and tell me if Rockefeller was a billionaire. I'll wait. You can teacup and go look that up.
While he's looking that up, I just wanted to come real quick to clear up a misconception about the wealth tax.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, Hawk is cooking, so he's got everything covered on that front. Just
go ahead, Dan, please.
So the idea that this was Kamala Harris's plan is a complete lie. It was in the Biden budget proposal for the year 2025. And when Biden dropped out of the race, it was assumed that she would be implementing this plan. It didn't end up being on her website or being in her official plan. But even if it had, this was only going to come into effect for people that made more than $250 million in capital gains. And not only that, but what it did was it set a minimum, $100 million, I apologize. But it set a minimum of 25% for an effective tax rate. If you were a billionaire that was already paying over 25% effective tax rate, then you're already in the clear. The reason for this was to close a lot of the loopholes that billionaires were able to utilize by never realizing their capital gains, kicking the can down the road, passing on their gains to their children, and then those gains are reset at the new cost basis of when the child inherited it. Meaning that those unrealized capital gains taxes were never paid on them, and essentially it was scamming the American people of those taxes. If you want to simp for people that make over $100 million a year, that's your prerogative. But just wanted to clear up. It was set a minimum effective tax rate of 25%, and it was a Joe Biden policy, not a Kamala Harris policy. That's all. Love you guys. Hawk, Erica, have a great night.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
So, Red, did you look that up?
It said in the 40s he was worth about $900 million.
No, he was worth $1 billion when he was 24 years old.
The entire U.S. GDP was around 40 billion, and there was no person who had $1 billion.
That's just not true. And if you looked it up, I don't know where you looked. Give me the website you looked up.
You can look it up wherever you want.
I'm looking it up right now, and it's telling me that he became a billionaire at 25 years old.
That's not true. You could say he had the equivalent of today's value of $1 billion.
No, sir. He was a billionaire.
Oh my God. Bro.
These guys were building mega mansions and running
I
everything.
agree with you. I agree that they had matches.
And they were billionaires, sir.
Control. They were not.
They were billionaires, sir.
Hey, Hawk,
Yes.
can we ask him what the purpose of this is?
There isn't one. He just wants to be a contrarian.
No, I'm asking you what the purpose
I'm
of
not
this
being
is.
a
Why does it
contrarian.
matter if there was a billionaire or not? I think we should get back to the Constitution.
Well, I
and
know what
equal
he's saying.
pay.
Okay, hold on. I can answer. Hold on. I can answer Erica's question. He's trying. Again, he's calling me a contrarian, and he's being contrarian because I said that they were being taxed at 90% back then, which they were, and they were still super rich, even though they were being taxed at such a higher rate. And I'm not just talking individuals, I'm also talking corporations. And we know corporations were making that kind of money back then, right? And by the 70s, that had dropped some, but it was still 70%. And again, during that time period, you got pensions. So you didn't pay into your own retirement like a 401k like you did now. The companies did that. When they hired an employee, they took out an annuity on that employee and they put a little money in that annuity for the 25 or 30 years that they worked for that company. And then they got that annuity as their pension when they retired 25 or 30 years later. The health insurance and stuff that we had, that was simply provided by the corporations. All you had to do was go to work, do your job, and earn your money. Corporations took care of all that other stuff. In the 70s and 80s, when Reagan took over, all of that stuff changed. First of all, he dropped the doggone taxes down to 37%, giving the rich even more money because now they get the extra profits that they had. They didn't have to pay in taxes, and they kept that money. Reagan's idea supposedly was that money would trickle down through the system and the workers would get more money. That never happened. So they're simply making more profit every time they get a tax break because their goal, their primary objective is to make money for their shareholders. So they're not letting that money trickle down to employees.
Exactly.
They're not letting that money trickle down to employees. They're keeping that profit, them and their shareholders, right? Which is why today people are saying that Gen Zers are lazy. Gen Zers aren't lazy. They just want to work for a decent wage. There is no decent wage anymore for a lot of people. That's the problem.
And I think that makes actual perfect sense because studies have shown that the wealth gap has only widened since the 1980s when we actually Reagan implemented supply side economics.
Right. I agree.
So
how can we say that the wealth gap has increased and not act like they have they're not making more money? It doesn't make any sense.
Wait, who's not making more money?
The rich, the 1% is making more money now than ever before in history.
Okay, Red, we're not saying that. So on that point, we're on the same page. That's exactly what I've been saying.
You went to be contrarian when I said there was no trillionaires then.
No, sir, you're not listening.
Then you're going to tell me Rockefeller was a billionaire in the 40s and he wasn't even alive.
Dude. Huh? Oh my God.
Huh? Rockefeller became a billionaire.
He wasn't alive in the 40s at all.
That's not the point, dude. That's not the point. If he was a billionaire before that, then the point that I was making was in response to your question that we didn't have billionaires back then.
And I used
Rockefeller. And I'm sorry, stop. Don't talk over me. Stop. And I'm telling you that there were billionaires back then. That was the Gilded Age or whatever they called it or whatever. That's when we had all of these super rich doggone people that ran Standard Oil and the railroads and all of that stuff. Those guys became super rich. They were billionaires.
Yeah, they built the fucking country. They were not billionaires. They
didn't build the country. They paid for the country. We built the country.
That is
no, they didn't build the country.
Yes,
the people built it. No, they paid to have the country built. We built the country. The people built the country. They didn't do no damn work.
Sure, you can say that they didn't build it, even though they built the corporation that paid the people to fucking do it. Yeah, let's play fucking semantics and act stupid like you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I work at a company where about over 40% of the workforce is millennials and Gen Z. We work extremely hard for every last penny we get here, and yet they don't pay us what we're worth. But they want every they keep adding more to our workload to do. Not only do we have to answer incoming calls here, we're an IT help desk. We have a little over 1 million people working for the company. We answer incoming calls here from different clients here, whether it's Office Max, Office Depot, First Student. We handle a few different banks. We handle a few different government entity clients here, and we have a few automotive clients that we do work for as well. they keep on adding more and more for us to do here, but they don't want to increase our pay. I'm like, last year, for example, we had record-breaking profits at the company, but yet nobody got a fucking raise. Not even the bottom employees, not even the managers, not even senior managers, not even the executive president got a raise. But you know who did get a raise? The CEO of the company got a huge raise for that. And this is what happens when trickle-down economics take ahead, because people still have in their mindset that, oh, if we keep on giving the top 1% or the top 10% or even the top 15% tax cut after tax cut, it's just going to magically trickle down to the bottom. And it doesn't. Time after time after time after time, it doesn't. And I can't believe I'm about to say this here. Like the other day, Trump told Walmart that they were going to have to eat the tariffs. And I as much as I cannot stand Trump, I love that he told Walmart that, you know what, you guys make $600 billion a year. There's no reason why you should pass on that cost to the American people.
Agree with that, but he doesn't have the authority to go through with it. That's something that would have to be done by Congress.
But it's him. It's his policies with tariffs here. He's putting tariffs on everything. That's the difference between him and Joe Biden. Joe Biden put on targeted tariffs here to bring stuff back. Donald Trump is saying, nope, every single thing that's coming in this country, it doesn't matter if it's something we need or something we don't need. We're putting a blanket tariff on it. 100%, 200%, 300%.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we need more of it. If anything, we need to empower workers in the United States to be able to do things competitively. We're in a global market. That's why these talks about the 60s and 70s and 80s doesn't really matter, because they didn't have fucking UPS with jumbo jets. You couldn't just go buy a giant boat and fill it up with shipping containers and bring all the shit over here. We're in a different market now. The economy is different. So we need to incentivize businesses to be here, to employ Americans. And yes, we could update the minimum wage. We could give people what their work is worth.
But hold on, Red. Hold on, Red. Not just the minimum wage. Again, the point that I was making when you claimed that I was doing whatever is they could also incentivize them to pay a living wage to their employees, but they don't. They took away all the regulations that did those things. That's the point that I was making. So now there's no restraint on capitalism. That's the issue, right? It's not just the taxes, it's the taxes and the regulations. And we know the Republican Party is all about deregulating everything. So basically corporations can do whatever they want and none of that money trickles down or goes down to the actual working class. That's the point.
And that's why I think we need to vote with our dollars. We need to stop empowering these corporations.
But it's your party that is the one that's deregulating corporations. It's your party that keeps giving these tax cuts to these corporations.
He's gonna say
hold on a second. Erica
I don't
has
have
some.
a party.
Hold on a second. Erica has some. Go ahead, Erica.
And here's the thing: you mentioned that we have to stop giving the power, but Strategic did said it is the Republican Party, the one in which you voted for, that is actually giving them the power to disenfranchise its workers. Donald Trump isn't pro-union. He's definitely anti-union. Another thing with Donald Trump, he may have told Walmart to eat those tariffs, and Walmart said okay just to appease him, but then turned right around and announced layoffs. All right. So they're not going to actually eat the cost of those, and we are going to see an increase in prices at Walmart. All right. It's simply the nature of the beast. So there is no benefit in this tariff game, this trade war that Donald Trump is playing. All right. I keep saying this, and I'm starting to sound like a broken record. You can't have it two ways. You can't say that you want to impose these tariffs, which you then claim also, Red, that it's only Congress can do so. But we've seen in recent days that Trump, in fact, can do it because an appeals court just allowed him the ability to do it. If not for a short time, they're still allowing him the ability to do it. And then also another thing, when it comes
before you move
to
on, can I correct you? I wasn't saying about the tariffs. I'm saying he can't legally make them eat the tariffs. He can't force them to take the cost, is all I'm saying.
Okay, that is true. He can't. And Walmart isn't. They are a business and their goal is to make a profit. All right. And so again, it all comes back to harm being done against everyday American citizens because Donald Trump isn't focused on any actual policy. And that is why you guys are like people who voted for him, like we say that you're in a cult because it tends to be a fact that you don't understand or see that what he does is wrong. And I really, really want to go back to the Constitution. I really want to go back because you said that you're a supporter of the Constitution, right? Just yes or no? Okay, all right. So like let's try to go back to the Constitution. But Kay is up here. Hey Kay, what's up?
Hey everybody, if everyone could keep tapping. I know that we are having a little bit of a odd situation right at the moment. So a couple things. We're not going to overtalk one another. So Red, if someone's speaking, your sentence shouldn't start in the middle of theirs. Stop disrespecting people on the panel or you can go. Also, I can't see your whole name. Is it Strategy or something like that? If you could wait to chime in until you're introduced and brought into the conversation, that would be great. There's too many people on the panel. This isn't usually how this is run.
It's not as many people now, Kay.
He wasn't doing. Okay, he wasn't doing anything wrong.
That's fine.
It was just because it was unattended. He can come up.
No. Okay.
You just like jumped into, and Erica wanted to make a point with Red and talk about the first thing that was happening. So if everyone could just keep tapping and sharing, that would be great. And then everyone could also just, be polite and respectful because it's gotten out of hand. And are you back now?
I am. Listen, first and foremost, guys, Kay, Erica, Hawk, I'm sorry. Chat, I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah, I had something that I had to get squared away, but I am back. We're good. And we will have order. So, yes, I'm here, Kay. Thank you.
Okay, y'all have a good night.
You as well.
Peace, Kay.
Somebody is going to misinterpret what I'm saying and then make multiple points. I'm just
definitely not your turn to speak yet. All right. So, like I was saying, Hawk, Erica, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Can one of you get me up to speed, if you don't mind?
Erica, go for it.
Okay. All right. So we spoke about the wealth tax. He called it the unrealized capital tax gain, but Hawk made him realize that it's just the wealth tax, which has been around and been an idea for a very long time. For some reason or another, we went into a whole thing. There aren't any billionaires in the 40s and the 50s, and we had to go down that rabbit hole. Then we started talking about supply side economics and how it doesn't work. He actually agrees to some extent that it doesn't work. So I don't really know his position on that one. And then we started talking about Walmart eating the tares and how corporations don't actually trickle down their resources to the bottom employees. It just basically stays up with the C-suite. And I'm trying to get him back to the Constitution.
Okay.
Trying to get him back to the Constitution.
Okay. Hawk, anything you want to add?
No, and I made the point that I wanted to make, although he's trying to obfuscate what I was saying, but no, I don't have anything else to add. Erica covered it pretty well.
Okay. Red, the floor is yours.
I don't think that they're actually disagreeing with me. They're just mad that I voted for Trump because you're just parroting what I'm saying and changing the narrative. I don't agree with unrealized gains tax. I don't think anybody does. You can claim that there's a limit to where
why wouldn't we agree with unrealized capital gains tax? I do.
You should be taxed on your money before you make it.
I believe that the ultra wealthy is using that as a loophole because they take that money that they actually make and they never pay taxes on it, and they take it and they make additional purchases like stocks and things like that they can actually make more money off of. So they use money that they don't actually have to have account for it to make more money. So yeah.
Without discrimination, you believe, yes or no, you believe that people should be taxed on something they don't have yet?
They do have it. May I address this?
Yeah, and I was just about to say that's not a true statement, but sure, go ahead, Hawk.
I'm just asking if you believe people should be taxed on money they didn't get yet. Do you think if you have a check coming up, I should tax you before you get the check?
First of all, you're saying that in a way that's disingenuous because they do have it. They invest in the market. the market goes up and they have capital gain. They have increased wealth based on the market going up, right? Capital gains because of their investments. What we're saying, what Santana just said is, what they do is they don't have to pay taxes on that money, because the way the system is set up, unless you take money out of the capital gains, you don't have to pay taxes on it. So what really rich people do is they don't take the money out of the capital gains that they have already made, right? What they'll do is they'll take out a loan and buy the things that they want to take because they can, because they have the super perfect freaking credit score, because they're millionaires and billionaires or whatever, and they never have to pull out that capital gain, so they never pay taxes on it. But that is money that they have earned that they're not paying taxes on. That's the part that you got wrong. They have earned the money, they just don't use the money, and because they don't use it, they don't have to pay taxes on it.
It's not correct. What you're saying is fundamentally wrong, and I'm going to tell you exactly which part.
Go ahead and explain how.
Let me tell you which part.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you which part. Because you're calling it money, you're referring to securities, but you're calling it money. You're referring to stocks, you're referring to bonds, you're referring to securities, but you're calling it money, and it's a separate.
Hey, wait, with stocks and bonds, do people add that to their overall? I'm sorry. If you're looking at the actual, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the wealth, the net worth. Yes. Do they count that towards people's net worth?
You could, and
no, it's not. They do. They do.
Can I finish?
I have a different question I'd like to ask.
Well, you could, and this is where I think this is where the disconnect is. You guys are referring to those assets as if it's money, and
I have a different question, Santana. If I may,
and I think that's why you're saying that these people are billionaires, because they own assets that would have been worth $1 billion if they sold, which they didn't.
Red, stop for a second, please. Do you have a 401k?
Or we were just not interrupting. I thought we just did a
dude. I started to ask the question. You just started talking.
Hold on one second. Shiggy.
Yo.
Did you mean to request up?
Yeah, man. This is my area of expertise. I thought I'd come up
and demonstrate what you know.
Sure.
All right, and I'm assuming you're a Trump voter, right?
I did. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I saw you popping off in the chat. Look, this is what we're gonna do, right?
I was trying to get you to bring me up.
Yeah, I mean, all you had to do was request.
I didn't know that.
All right, this is what we're gonna do: a palate cleanser. Palate cleanser. It's yeah, I did. That was on me, right? I am the one that broke the flow and unleashed whatever that was, right? So we're gonna have a palate cleanser. A couple of quick things, guys. W's in the chat for Aveline. Aveline, thank you so much for the $10 donation, saying W capitalism, F that orange buffoon tacos. That's how long I've been gone. That was from earlier. Also, guys, W's in the chat for Antonio, who sent a $2 donation, said it doesn't matter what this independent blagger likes to label himself. He chose to vote against his people. He's so trash. Also, disrespecting Erica. F that white apologist. W's in the chat for Antonio. Thank you so much for the $2 donation. Guys, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links are in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks 24. Santana Speaks 24 is the best way to support the live. If you enjoy the information, education, entertainment, please consider donating. Everything is accepted. Anything is appreciated. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a YouTube super chat and I will read that out. And I see that the YouTube is popping off. Guys, make sure you're liking the live. Also, what up, Twitch? Last but not least, it is Erica Shantae's birthday weekend. Guys, let's make sure that we are showing Erica some love. Make sure her pay links, everything with Erica, they are in the link tree in the bio. But let's make sure that we are showing Erica some love. So let's go ahead and hit her pay links. Tell her happy early birthday, buy her a shot or something. Make sure we're doing all the wonderful things. Tap the screen. Let's keep it moving. Hawk, did you want to stay? What
no, I don't need to. I don't need to. I want to add one more W for you though. Angela sent me $5 and I want to
W's in the chat for Angela.
And to the last point that I was trying to make before you drop red or whatever, if you've got a 401k, then and you're not using that money, you want it to grow throughout your working career so that money will be there when you retire. That's the same thing, because you don't pay taxes on that money until you retire and you start taking it out, right? So it's the same thing. So he just doesn't know what he's talking about. But no, I don't need to stay. You guys can run this and do your thing.
Okay. All right. I appreciate you, Hawk. Thank you so much for coming up in the clutch. I really appreciate you.
No problem.
Also, shout out to Chris for the $2 for happy birthday. Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate you.
Guys, before we get started, hold on. I got to do a quick thing. Oh, I didn't mean to bring that person up. Hold on. I didn't mean to bring that person up. I meant to bring this person up. Hey, person, you the one that learned your lesson from slurring earlier, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I wanted to make sure that you learned your lesson before I blocked you, because you're not getting any action on this live, clown. Anywho, yeah.
He tried it.
My man said, he said, wait, I'm not gonna slur this time. What? What?
He just tried to get it off.
He did.
Before you, yeah.
He did. I started blocking him as soon as I got him. I specifically only brought him up because I wanted to be able to block him. That was it.
Yes.
Dan, I didn't mean to bring you up, but Dan, what's your position?
All right. So I voted for Trump. I just wanted to. I was going to add to the guy that was up here. He was talking about, I believe, the tax that was put on the wealthy back during the 40s and 50s, and I just wanted to add some context to that because I think he left it.
Hold on one second. So let's do this. We'll do 2v2 because Shiggy is a Trump supporter who wanted to seemingly add context as well. So let's give Shiggy the floor first. Shiggy, what argument do you want to render?
I just wanted to continue on what you were talking about earlier about tax and unrealized capital gains.
Sure.
My issue with that is, like, what are the logistics of taxing or having people write off unrealized losses? So, like, let me give you an example. For example, let's say I bought an apartment building for 25 million and it appreciates to 50 million. Well, now I hypothetically have $25 million in unrealized capital gains I could get taxed on. And let's say I am taxed on that, right? So let's say I was taxed, and then, you get a 2008 type crash and it crashes down and now it's only worth 25, 30 million again. What do I do with all those losses that I now paid taxes on?
You know what? That's a fair statement. I would be in favor of being able to recoup that as far as a tax deduction, right? I mean, like, I don't necessarily know how that would work logistically, but I get your point. I'm not against it. But
yeah, I see what you mean. Like,
you didn't expect me to kind of agree with you, did you?
No, not at all. I thought that was a great answer. Like, my problem is, like, the logistics of the plan that I saw laid out, it just wasn't realistic, because what would you do with that? And that would just open up more loopholes for people to be able to do tax loss harvesting and basically, defer their, harvest losses, defer gains, things like that. Like, do all the stuff that rich people do.
And see, that's the problem overall, right? I mean, and for me, it's not necessarily it's not all about just taxing the unrealized capital gains. It's about closing those loopholes and making sure that people are appropriately taxed and also paying their fair share. I mean, that's what it really boils down to me. So I do understand that they're logistically speaking, there would have to be different ways that you go about completing that task, and there would be different ways that you would have to think it through, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Debbie's in the chat for Corey something, whoever sent Erica to Galaxy.
Corey. Thank you, Corey.
But like, my whole point is making sure that because the normal person doesn't have the ability to take advantage of those loopholes. Erica.
And so going back to what you said, closing the loopholes, I mean, okay, we can sit here and we can talk about, like, okay, how will it apply? And it seems like the only argument against it is maybe the depreciation of value of those assets. However, we can think about also the positives of it when it comes to, this is revenue for the government. This is revenue that goes back into public works, that goes back into social programs that we have, which actually for the betterment of the American people. This would actually could be something that would help close the wealth gap. If not close it, then at least, shorten it. Instead of it growing and becoming wider, we could shorten it. So we can look at those things also to see the actual benefits of it. And then I would like to see, how can you argue against actually doing it? If it's just there, it's not something that they can actually, I guess, they're not using it, or if it's just there, then what is the problem of them actually paying a tax on it? It's only after $100 million. I think we have this might just be more so a personal thing, but I think we have we misconceive just how much money that is. That's a lot of money. And it's over 100 million was Kamala's plan for it.
Well,
so what is the actual negative of having, of taxing unrealized capital
I
gains?
thought it was 100
Having a
million net
wealth
worth or $1 million a year in salary. I'm not 100% sure about that.
I don't know about the last.
I don't know if
I only
that's
read
accurate
about
or not,
100
so
million.
I'm not making that claim. I will give my little plug, my little rant, and I will tell you I'm an expert in this field, and that's why I came up. And I'm not I'm wildly underqualified to talk about a lot of the things you talk about, but this is kind of my place.
Can wait.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
You said you're expert. What classifies you as an expert? And you
Sure.
don't have to give something too personal where you giving too much information about yourself. I just like to know where you're coming from as far as your expertise.
No, sure. I have a undergraduate in nuclear engineering, which has nothing to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
A master's in finance, a PhD in finance. I'm a professor of finance at a local college. I own an investment firm. I'm a contributor to the Wall Street Journal, Barron's, and a bunch of other things. And I'm a published author, and I've written a bunch of research papers in finance.
Okay. So
And I'm not bullshitting. That's all
would
true.
Would it be too much to assume that you're one of those people? W's in the chat for Nat for the Galaxy. Thank you, Nat. Would it be too much to assume that you're one of those people that these unrealized capital gains actually benefit?
I don't think that's too much to assume.
So the books are cooked.
No, it's not. Well, let me tell you
okay,
why.
Go ahead. You got
because no matter how you write the code, there's always going to be a smart lawyer to help get around it.
Listen.
So I'll say that, number one. Number two, I do consider myself a humanitarian. I give away a lot of my money. I'm a very, and I'm not trying to come up here and tout myself out. I know the chat's probably about to go wild, but I like to keep my own money so I can decide what to do with it philanthropically, right? So I will give my little bit of rant here in that, you say the wealth gap. There's nothing that exacerbates the wealth gap more than the overreach of the Federal Reserve. If you want me to dive into that, I will. But we should all be more, whether you're Republican or Democrat, more open, more pushy, more whatever you want to call it, to have the Federal Reserve be more accountable, audited, transparent, if you will, all the above. There is a bill out there, HR 24, and it's poorly written, but at least it's a step. And I could explain to you why I think the Federal Reserve is the biggest problem we have, but that's just me.
I think it's a combination. I mean, I'm not going to say that I don't think that it's not. I don't know if I would agree with the biggest, but anyway, I'm not going to push back on it, but I'm also not going to agree with it.
It's definitely the biggest. I'll tell you why. Cheap money, right? What does cheap money do? Cheap money allows people like me, and I'll put myself in there, to borrow at really, really low interest rates and buy risk assets. And that causes asset bubbles. So what the Federal Reserve focuses on is prices, right? Like your price of eggs, price of milk, price of all those things. They pay no attention to asset bubbles. So essentially, while they're trying to fight inflation on the price side, they're allowing you to borrow super cheap and pile money.
You're just created a whole fucking bubble. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. The Federal Reserve creates bubbles. This happens. Then they crash. Then we, and I say we as in Republicans and Democrats, bail them out. And then the cycle repeats all over again.
Rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat. Yeah. We're all guilty of it. I mean, Democrats voted for TARP. Republicans voted for TARP. If you're not familiar with TARP, that was kind of like the 2008 bailout.
Which I didn't agree with, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's all horseshit. So, yeah, all in all, if we want to band together and fight something, fight the Fed. That's my stand.
But it's not just okay. That's one factor. I will give you that, because that's why I said I'm not going to necessarily overall push back on that. But I think it's more than that. Yeah, I'm not gonna push back on that. Anyway, go right ahead.
You want me to keep pontificating, or Erica? What do you got? It's your birthday. I don't want to keep talking. I want to give you a chance to speak.
Or actually, let's give Dan a moment to establish his point.
All right. So what I was going to add on to is I know Hawk was talking about before how in the past what's called there was rich people that got taxed at a very high rate, and corporations got taxed at a very high rate historically, and they still were able to keep all their money. But I think some context that he either like left out or he just doesn't is not aware of, or I'm not sure. But I don't know if a lot of people don't know this or not, but during that time there was also a big difference that separates trade now versus then. Is we had a trade surplus back then. Now we have a trade deficit, and that's a big difference in terms of the trade. Like back then, those companies could afford to be taxed at that high rate because we were producing far more than we were importing, and the world is now the the producer and we're the consumer. And back then it was kind of the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, so like, you mind if I respond to that? Santana, I want to hijack the live.
Yeah, you can respond.
Santana's busy. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dan, so like, I don't inherently think that trade deficits are a bad thing. Like, we're never going to have a trade surplus with Bangladesh or anybody like that. Like, not to quote Rand Paul too much, but there's some countries we're just never going to have an equal trade with, nor should we. We're a consumer country. And
no, I mean,
although I do agree that like the trade does win the trade war. Overall, like here's the biggest problem with trade deficits and things like that. Like inherently, they're not bad. The problem that we have right now is that we used to operate in this country under something called capital neutrality, capital export neutrality, which meant that it didn't matter where a company had its base or its subsidiary or whatever, it got taxed the same. So all the taxes all came back to the United States, right? And that went away at some point. But it's slowly eroded away. And that's why you see every company like Apple and Amazon and things like that have subsidiaries in like Dublin and Qatar and all these other, more tax-friendly places. So basically they just rent their intellectual property from the United States version over to the subsidiary over in the foreign country and pay a lot less taxes. And that money never comes back to the United States. So I would say if we want to improve the lives of people and get more tax revenue back into the United States, make it so that companies, no matter where they have a subsidiary or where they have their headquarters, they have to pay United States tax if they do business here.
But it just sounds like you are, again, looking to close out more loopholes. And I'm with it. I'm with it. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, so what I was going to say is, I would agree with you. I don't think trade deficits are bad, but what I think it is bad is trying to tax a country or an economy at a very high rate when they do have a trade deficit. I think that's a recipe for disaster. I think the only time you can give corporations a very high tax rate is if there is a very high trade, either a trade surplus or the trade deficit is very low. If you have a very low trade deficit and you try to tax corporations at a like 65, 70% rate, that's a recipe for disaster.
Okay. I mean, I could agree with that. Like if it's me running, like if I'm Scott Besson, know Scott Besson is. I don't want to I'm not asking questions.
Yeah, the guy that just beat up Elon, gave Elon a black eye. Exactly, did you hear about the E?
Yeah, I
throwing hands. Hey, you guys are boring Erica with the this topic. I think we might need to,
I did have a question.
Is the topic too boring?
I literally hate this stuff. But it's interesting to just listen to.
Erica, this is my life's work.
I understand, and it's boring. I say that with respect. I did have a question.
I enjoy it.
You said that because you're a nerd. Shiggy, you said something though, and I do want to ask this question. You said the country with the trade deficit typically wins the trade war. Why do you say that? Because I would think that the country with the deficit actually depends on the one with the surplus. So like China and the United States, we depend on them more.
Right.
We depend on China.
But who's the consumer and who has the buying power, right? Look what happened. Okay. Look what happened when we did record high tariffs back like during Smoot-Hawley and the Great Depression. We had a trade surplus at that point and we got smoked.
We did get smoked. You're right. We did get smoked. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. Okay.
Yeah. So trade deficit means you got the power, right? You're the consumer. So for the most part, you know what I mean? Not the way he's doing. He's doing it dumb. So I expect a lot more out of Scott Besson. Scott Besson was actually one of the professors at Yale when I went to Yale, and I thought he would do better.
He's not doing that great of a job.
Tell me about it.
Okay. All right. So you answered that question. Sean, thank you so much for the little baby lion thingy. Thank you.
Somebody in the chat said I learned something. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just learned something.
There's one
so
thing.
thank
There's
you.
one thing I want to add too. I don't know if I'm correct on this or not, but this is like what I've heard or whatever. Like when Reagan got in and started to lower the what's called the corporate tax and tried to with this theory of trickle down economics. I think the reason why he did that was because during the 70s when the corporate tax rate was still really high, that's when all these businesses started to go overseas, and I'm pretty sure like Reagan did that in an attempt to try to bring them back, but obviously it didn't work.
No, it didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think necessarily Reagan did anything overall that was beneficial for normal people. I mean, I think he definitely benefited the ultra wealthy. So there's that. W's in the chat for Candy. Candy sent a $10 donation saying, "Thank you for all that you do, Candy. You are absolutely, absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for that." Also, Ralph sent a $4.99 YouTube super chat to say Shiggy needs to get a refund from his college. You also can't be a humanitarian while supporting Trump. W's in the chat for that, the YouTube super chat, and also for the donation, guys. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links are in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks 24. Santana Speaks 24 is the best way to support the live. So if you enjoy the information, education, entertainment, please, please, please consider donating. Everything is accepted. Anything is appreciated. And guys, don't forget, it is Erica Shantae's birthday weekend. So that means we need to make sure that we're taking care of Erica. Ain't that right, E?
Yes.
All right. I'm sorry, E, finish your conversation.
Oh no, I just said that with so much enthusiasm. Yes. Oh no, I learned something. Thank you, Shiggy. That's it. I learned something that because we're the consumer, that we have a better chance of coming out on top with this. But at the same time, Trump's a really, really bad negotiator.
Well, yeah, and that's
he's
what I did not expect him to do it correctly. I did expect Scott Besson to do it correctly. I did. I had high hopes.
He don't listen to nobody. Trump doesn't listen to anyone, so
yeah, I guess. But
there's that.
No, I was going to say the same thing. Like I kind of depended dependent on somebody on his administration to do that deal, not necessarily him.
No, it was him, and he did a really awful job. So there's that. Okay, so let's see here. MAGA Cult. I mean, do you all? So I can already tell that you two aren't a part of the cult simply because you can find fault and wrong where Trump has actually messed up. So there's that part. Anything else up here that you may disagree with on the background?
I do disagree with mediocre moderates. I think everything in life, for the most part, not everything, that's not fair. The most things in life are better in moderation, including politics.
I disagree.
I don't
tell me why, Santana. I'm curious.
Listen, I think more so for me, I am a simple man, and I think that if you are going to actually align any type of position in life, I think you should do things that benefit the majority, not the minority. And I think that is the same way that you should actually be in politics. And I think that overall, we understand who is more beneficial to the normal everyday American. Like, the thing that kind of gets me about you, Shiggy, is like you don't strike me as a bad guy, and I feel like you definitely voted for your pockets, but it contradicts what you say that you actually do with your money, which is, it's a little weird.
No, I don't think so. I think my money is better in my hands, so I can decide who it goes to very efficiently rather than giving it to the government to distribute it very inefficiently.
But what about the actual issues that said government that you vote for, like it counteracts the good things that you do with your money, right? Because yeah, you can donate. Let's say, Shiggy, let's be generous. Let's say you donate $2-3 million a year.
It's a little less than that.
Say it again.
It's a little less than that, but
well, no, I said let's be generous, right? You donate $2-3 million a year. If this quote unquote big beautiful bill gets passed, how many people are going to lose, $800 billion when it comes to Medicaid? Or I'm sorry, actually that number's been lessened because of the back and forth jockeying. with $300 billion in SNAP benefits. And like, there's massive things that this administration is trying to pass and further that not only offset anything positive that you're doing, Shiggy, but it blows it out of the water.
The big beautiful bill is crap.
Oh yeah, but you voted for it.
Well, I didn't vote for that's not what was proposed when
I hear
when
you.
I was voting. But yes, I understand how you could make the conclusion that you voted for someone who could who could propose a crap bill like that. So I understand what you're saying. Right.
I mean, so you don't feel like what you do in like your personal life is you're doing it in vain?
What do you mean?
Because like I'm not saying that you don't do anything good, but the things that you're doing good is being offset by the candidate that you voted for doing bad.
I don't think so. I think the individual human that is a philanthropist that has the means to be able to do so has a lot more impact than the pros and the cons of the government, whatever they could do. I don't believe our government is set up in this country to ever be able to take care of its people the way it should be, because we don't exist in moderation.
Well,
let me tell you what I mean.
But why not? Wait. But why not change the government though, Shiggy?
Well, let me give you one example. Right.
Okay.
Here's what the moderation I'm talking about. And moderation might not be the right term. It might be more of a coming to compromise, right? And this is where maybe my views come out that are a little bit weird or whatever, but what if I said, all right, we never send another dollar overseas, but then we actually fix the homeless problem in this country? Like, I think that's something everybody should be able to get behind, but I don't think
that's also
that
unrealistic.
But why is it unrealistic? I don't think it is.
You don't think it's unrealistic from the stance that because you're saying that you want to become isolationist.
No, it's not isolationist to not send money. Not when you're not in a good position, right? It's like if this is a dumb comparison, but like if your grandmother,
you want to stay away from that word. That's a ableist comment, friend.
What is? I'm sorry, I didn't mean any disrespect.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah.
It's
right.
Something that I recently learned as well.
No worries. We're all learning, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no disrespect, Matt. But let's say that you have a grandmother who's living solely on Social Security, and she wants to give you $100 for your birthday. You probably shouldn't take it, right? That's what the United States is in. The United States is in a bad position financially, very bad position. And let me give you.
And you voted for someone that's going to put us in a worse position.
I don't think that the other side would have done any better, though. That's a problem. You understand? I was 51% on my vote, and did I make the wrong choice? Maybe. I don't know. I think we'll see. It's probably heading in that direction. I'm open to that conversation. But what I'm saying is that the United States, let me give you a little bit of a comparison. If the United States were a household, let's say it was the Santana Jones household, right? The Santana Jones household would make $80,000 a year, spend $100,000 a year, and have $500,000 in credit card debt. That's unsustainable. So you, as Santana Jones, in that position financially, should not be giving any money to anyone.
I hear you. You know where I'm gonna come to you next, E. You know where the flaw is in your logic?
That we don't audit the Pentagon?
Not just audit the Pentagon, but yeah, you're right. You make $800,000 a year. Santana household makes $800,000 a year, spends $100,000 a year, but spends 60,000 of that on booze. Let's just say that. Sure. I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah, and that booze is our armed forces.
Yeah, but I mean, we spend 60,000 on booze, and the next closest to us spends what, like 20,000 on booze? Like, why do we need so much booze?
I agree. So why do we spend so much on that? Why do both sides vote to spend so much on that?
Oh, we know it's the military-industrial complex. I'm sorry. Go ahead, E.
Can you hear me? Well, okay. All right. Fantastic. Okay. So he mentioned that these things that are currently going on, especially in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, wasn't something that Donald Trump actually proposed or talked about. It was. He did speak on the campaign trail about cutting Medicaid and also Medicare benefits for people, specifically Medicaid and SNAP benefits. And that actually can be traced back. The best tool to come out of this election is the Project 2025 tracker. And you actually definitely can see that, especially with the work requirement, that was something that was discussed. You can look at page 467 for that to see how they did that. Also, taking the money and putting it into block grants. That was also discussed in Project 2025. And I know you may say, Shiggy, that that wasn't Donald Trump's, but my dear, it was. It was his plan. All right, it was a plan that he basically was going to abide by. So we have these things here that he did talk about, and people may have spoken to you about it prior to November 5th of 2024. But this isn't a surprise to anyone that was paying attention. So I kind of agree with Santana that I feel like you dismissed what the empathetic part of you believes, and also the humanitarian part of you, and to choose your wallet over anything else. That don't change anything, but I'm just saying that's what I think it is.
No, I hear you, Erica, and you're right. And that doesn't mean that I did not associate Project 2025 with Donald Trump because he never fully endorsed it. Is that fair? So, doesn't mean I was right, but that's
like,
is that a fair statement. Or?
He completely associated with everybody in connection with it. Oh, Shiggy, I feel like now you're just being disingenuous with me.
No, I'm not being
like it was a direct line. It was a direct line.
What do you mean?
From the people, for him speaking at the Heritage Foundation, like literally 2 years before, talking about the plan that was being put in place, the fact that the Heritage Foundation had so much influence and actually recommended Amy Coney Barrett to be his nomination, the fact that they put JD Vance up as the VP. I mean, there was a direct correlation in multiple ways.
Santana, are you telling me our politicians pander to the people that they want to vote for?
Come on,
Come on, man.
That's what I'm saying. You had to know Project 2025 was a thing.
No, they all do it. Come on, they all do it.
I don't take you for an unintelligent man.
I know, that's why I don't believe that one. I know for a fact that,
Erica, I told you, I wouldn't say I'm smart. I'm educated. I'm very good in my field, and I'm probably, like I said, if you want to talk about the border, if you want to talk about, other, I'm wildly underqualified to talk about that stuff. So this is just, the economy's kind of my thing. So.
Mm-hmm. Dan, do you you have anything you want to add? You've been quiet in the corner for a while.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to add. I know you guys were talking about before how what's called the military is kind of like wasteful spending in a way. I mean, I would argue that it kind of is, but it kind of isn't in a way. We have the most powerful military in the world, right? And I think that that's a good thing. I wouldn't want Russia to have a more powerful military than us, or China to have a more powerful military than us. I don't think that that's China already is dominating us in a lot of other fields. We don't need them to have, a more powerful military than us either. I mean, I don't know if you guys would agree or disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean, but so again, the only problem that I have, and E, I mean, you can chime in on this, but I hear you, but the amount of money that we spend on our military, we can cut that in half and still have the most powerful military in the world, right? I mean, Donald Trump, the part of this quote unquote big beautiful bill, not only is he cutting all these social safety nets and all this other stuff, but he's giving more money to the military. That's a problem. I mean, we don't even have to cut the budget in half. We could cut portions of the military budget and be able to fund multiple social safety nets. I mean, we could do so much with even just cutting off a sliver of the military budget.
All right, wait. So what do you guys? Let me ask you guys. This is kind of a related but unrelated question. What do you guys think about the IRS?
I think Donald Trump
adding
the IRS. I think the I think the IRS is inefficient, and I think that Donald Trump made it even more inefficient to benefit the ultra wealthy and Shiggy, and to harm people who were expecting to try to get that was a stray, expecting to try to get a tax refund. People just got past tax time, and a lot of people had to pay money back instead of actually getting a refund. And it was not only because of the actual tax code and how things.
I was one of those people. This year was the first year ever that I owed the federal government money in taxes.
It was strategic. I mean, getting rid of itemized deductions and things along those lines, but also the actual the way that the tax code was set up to, you know, it's funny that there's certain things that are put in place for a temporary moment and then they're gone, right? Because at the beginning of the TCJA, it seemed like it was going to put more money in people's pocket, but they end up paying it on the back end. And just like this proposed no tax on tips, it's only for was it 2 years, and then after that it's gone. So it's funny how they put in like the little time frames for certain stuff, and then they get rid of it when they think that, you know, they're out the door.
So I would agree with you too. Like, I think the IRS is completely inefficient. I think that you know, Biden adding those, I think it was, what was it, like 300,000 IRS agents he hired or something like that. I think that, you know,
but you know what happened when he added them?
I'm not aware. Like what?
Yeah, they collected more in tax revenue from people like Shiggy.
Damn.
They literally, Shiggy,
But they were
listen, we
able
know
to
you,
actually do
listen,
their
we know your
jobs.
money long. As a matter of fact, Shiggy, make sure you hit Erica's her
I
Venmo.
when
or,
I get off the panel, I'm definitely
okay, I was about to say, because it's her birthday.
I'll hook you up too.
But yeah, no, they went after the ultra wealthy and collected a ton of not only back taxes but uncollected taxes of the ultra wealthy. They didn't go after the normal people. They went after the people that have all the money.
They were able to do their job.
I don't know, because Santana, like, it's interesting that you say that, because like I wasn't aware of that, but you know, from what I understand, right? I've always assumed that the IRS kind of works like this, where it kind of sounds good on paper, where they're going to say, okay, yeah, we're going to fund all these agents to go after the ultra wealthy and get this, you know, people that are, you know, dodging the tax loopholes. But what usually ends up happening is if you're an IRS agent, right, and you get tasks with auditing people, do you think it's going to be easier for you to audit somebody that's, say, middle class, that doesn't have enough money to afford a lawyer, has no clue about tax loopholes, like, you know, just missed a couple thousand on back taxes, versus going after somebody that's really wealthy, is lawyered up, can afford to drag the case out for as long as possible, to the point where they probably have to pay $0, or like, you know, like I said, like going after it, you know, so obviously it's going to be easier to go after that middle class, like lower class person in terms of like ease.
And you're absolutely right. Like people like me, Santana, are not breaking the law. We're just using the code as it's written. The average person is the one that suffers when audits increase and things like that. Nobody's going to come audit me and win anything because I'm just using the code as it's written.
So what's the fix?
What's the fix? Oh man, that's a good question. I mean, you talk about like if I were president, if Boss Shiggy taking over,
bruh.
is that what you want? I mean, come on, have shown no signs of being a MAGA weirdo or anything.
No, just saying. What
Also,
do you think is
I just want to call this out real quick. Over the span of the last 4 years, not including 2024, so basically 2019 to 2023, because we, you know, tax season just closed out for 2024, but there was a 50% increase on the high income taxpayers, corporations, and complex invasion schemes, people that the IRS was able to get money from, where they actually recovered $160 million in millionaires' tax cheats. They collected $520 million from the unpaid taxes, $38 billion from large corporations that had unpaid taxes, and also there was a 2.2 trillion worth of taxes over that span as well that's been collected from large corporations and companies that had not been paying the taxes, and they were using loopholes from C-19. So the additional agents that Joe Biden added collected a ton of money from the ultra wealthy that they had been hiding, and Donald Trump got rid of them all.
So that's not really true. Just repeat back what you just said on those numbers. Look at the crazy difference between the amount that was collected from individuals versus corporations. So if you want to set your people, your IRS people off on anybody, set them up on corporations.
No, I agree with that as well. I mean, I'm not saying that like it's apples to oranges, but I'm also saying like specifically the areas or the people where, you know, that actually dodge said taxes, they went after it.
But it wasn't people, it was corporations.
Yeah, I mean that too. Like, I mean, yeah. So for me, honestly, if I'm gonna keep it funky, I care more about corporate taxes than I do about, you know, millionaire and billionaire taxes, and that's just being honest.
Well, just logistically and just do the math. That's the thing that's going to pay the bill. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, like, why?
If you taxed every billionaire, it's running the government for like 6 days.
Yeah.
You tax corporations, you've got yourself something, right? But what is the right answer? Like, should the corporate tax rate be higher, or should we? Sure. So let me listen to the alternative. Should the corporate tax rate be lower to incentivize businesses to come here? However, do not allow. Let me finish, Erica. Listen, you'll like this. Do not allow them to hold foreign subsidiaries, foreign companies that are different. You know, let's say offshoots of the same company, and funnel their profits out of the United States into those other countries where they have lower corporate tax rates. That's what's happening.
But my whole thing is like, how? Just like you said,
we used to
what
do
did you
that
say
too.
every single time? What did you say? What was the line that you used earlier? There's a lawyer to something or whatever. Like,
there's always a lawyer. Right? But we didn't have that for a very long time, up until like the 1990s. This country ran under capital export neutrality, which is where a company based in the United States had to pay U.S. taxes regardless of where it had other locations, So here's what happened, Santana. Like, look at in Ireland, right? For example, really low corporate tax rate. So companies like Apple and things like that open up basically a shop over there. They'll open up, you know, let's say Apple Part 2 LLC or whatever. And then Apple here in the United States rents the intellectual property, and I'm using air quotes, from the subsidiary in Ireland, and basically funnels the profits over there to the Ireland company, so they pay a lot less. All you'd have to do is just require that's not a thing anymore. And that's the way this country operated for a very long time, and then we got rid of it.
Yeah, and Shiggy,
Erica,
and that's actually a good example.
Erica, hold on one second. Erica, go ahead.
I have a few things that I need to do. But Shiggy, I want you to think about this. Okay, so you say these things, but I need to know, how do we actually go about getting there? So I want you to think about that one. The question is how do we close these loopholes?
We were there, Erica. We were already there, and we fucked it up.
But hold on, Shiggy. We're gonna come back to it. All right, guys. So it's 400 of us up in here, and Santana's only at 64,000 likes. I need y'all to tap that screen. Let's get this thing going. It has been, but that don't stop no tapping. All right, so let's tap this screen and get it up to 150,000 likes. I know y'all can do that super fast. Do that, please. Thank you. It'd be a great birthday if you did. Also, he has 45 of those kissy hearts, and if y'all want to see him do that silly kissy face, I think y'all need to send those. Also, continue to share the live. Take care of the panel. If you agree with them, show them love. Also, guys, let's just keep doing all of the good things. Santana Speaks. Is it Santana Speaks 24?
Santana Speaks 24. Santana Speaks 24 is the best way to support the live. If you enjoy the information, education, entertainment, please consider donating. Everything is accepted. Anything is appreciated.
Yes, and also if you're on YouTube, you can definitely send a super chat to show your love and support.
Super chat.
Yay, and hello Twitch. All right.
What up, Twitch?
Also, hi Hector. Okay, also I want to get a few off my darn gone self. So shout out to David for the $2 for happy early birthday to one of my TikTok favorites. Oh my gosh, that makes me so happy. Thank you so much, David. Also, shout out to Gucci for the 20. Happy birthday. Thank Gucci. You, love. And also shout out to Candy Coded for the birthday love. I appreciate you, babes. Y'all are awesome. Drop some hearts in the chat for yourselves, and let's keep doing all the good things. Shit.
W's in the chat.
Thank you for the meteor shower. Thank you. All right. Okay.
Wait. Dan was saying something, and I want to let Hector do his fizzle.
Okay, so what I was going to say is that's actually a good point that Shiggy brought up, like Apple, because you know, obviously, like if you look on the back of what's called any you know, product that's made by Apple, it usually says designed in California, assembled in China or Taiwan or whatever it is, because, you know, obviously Apple has a subsidiary there. So what you could do is you can, you know, like he was saying, you bring back the manufacturing here to the United States, and then you have Apple just have one, what's called company, like their base company here.
Okay, that was reaffirming. So we want to get Hector. Shiggy, keep thinking about the how, because I know you want to talk about it. But Hector, what's up, dude?
What's going on? And thank you, Sky, for the gifts. I been listening to this conversation for a little bit. I've actually learned a couple of things from a Trump supporter, which are words I never thought would come out of my mouth. But
he's a fugazi Trump supporter. Oh, his vote doesn't make sense. That it doesn't.
I actually came up here to ask a question. Nitpick at one thing and ask a question. I'll start with the question. I actually like that he brought up the agents that were hired to enforce more of the tax code. I think he did bring up a pretty good point. I do think those individuals, it wasn't 300,000. That's astronomically crazy. But the ones that were hired, I do think it would have been better to dedicate more of those people to work on just a complete overhaul of our tax system and tax code. That's something I've been crying about for some time now. It's complete garbage, and I honestly don't even think Biden or Kamala's would have been much better, a good bit better, but not much better compared to what we need. So I do think if that was something that was signed into law, where you get those individuals to work on a tax code that better works for everyone, I would have been a lot more for that than where they went. But they did their job, so be it. And I guess I'm going to do a little bit of nitpicking now. I believe you described yourself as a philanthropist, and I agree with you. You find your money to be better served, where you can better serve the people with where you want to put it. However, I would argue for every one of you, there's 100 more people that are the complete opposite.
That's what I was saying, Hector.
The problem with our entire government to begin with. And as a philanthropist, I guess I was a little confused as to how, with those beliefs, you could possibly vote for Trump, especially in regards to the economy, which sounds like your strong suit. Just a couple of minutes of talking to you, you sound smarter than the 10 years of clips that I've been listening to of Donald Trump, and even ones before that.
Well, thanks, Hector. You are, and I'm a big fan of you too. You're not wrong.
You know me?
Yeah, I know you are for sure.
God,
I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you guys have demographics or whatever, but I listen to you guys all the time. So just so you know.
Listen to who?
You, Pickles, you name it. Hector.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's why, Hector, didn't I just say he's a fugazi Trump supporter?
I'm an open-minded.
Like, it doesn't make sense. The only reason is because of your wallet, and like it still doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but that's not true. There's plenty of Democrat billionaires out there.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. Okay.
Yeah, I think that either way you would have still been wealthy.
I agree with you. So that's why I think that argument doesn't hold water. I said I agree with you. Either way, I would be wealthy, so that argument doesn't really hold water. That's the only reason why I voted that way.
Wild.
It is wild.
But why did you vote for Trump?
Yeah,
though?
that's what I was just about to get to. Like, help us understand, because it's not making sense.
It might not. I want to answer Hector's question. So yes, 100%. You're right that not everybody thinks that way. We'll tell you, peer pressure is a motherfucker. If I get up in front of a charity and write a big check, other people are going to do it, even if it's for the wrong reasons. They're still going to do it too.
Absolutely.
So you can coerce people in a particular way to do that, but that doesn't mean they're doing it behind closed doors or when nobody's watching, right? I just don't. I don't find that no matter who's in office, whatever combination, Democrat president, Republican Congress, whatever you name it, whatever combo you want, where anything ever really gets better. So I typically default to the one that's going to leave me and my family alone to do what I think is best. All right.
Hector, you got it.
Yeah, I don't. You're not going to have any disagreement with me in regards to the mediocrity of Democrats. When I advocate for voting that way, it's more so for less harm, particularly to certain communities. I come more from a social aspect and to some degree a financial aspect. However, you did bring up a good point, which is regardless of how you vote, ultimately you will be just fine economically. So I would say just based off the conversation we've had, and based off the fact that you've apparently been watching me for some time, and I didn't even know who you were. No offense. It sounds like more of your issues could be around social. You could be more socially conservative. Would that be a fair assessment?
No, actually, quite the opposite. I would say I'm socially liberal.
This is confusing.
That's what I said. None of this makes sense.
I don't know. I would say
I'm
that
an
she's
enigma, Hector.
more economically conservative or fiscally conservative.
I would say I'm fiscally conservative and socially liberal. That's correct.
But you just admitted that either way you voted, you still would have been wealthy. So I really am just trying to understand, why did you vote?
But that doesn't, just because either way I voted, I'd still be wealthy. That doesn't negate the fact that I'm a fiscal conservative or a social liberal. Right?
Sure, but that's
no, it doesn't negate it. But you would.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. You are like
It's my.
far away.
It's my. It's my headset.
Okay.
Wait, do I have my AirPod on? No. No. Either way, it would have worked for you, Shiggy. Harm reduction is the thing. The harm reduction part of it. All right. You voted for the candidate who literally platformed the most harm. Like, he told us what he wanted to do. And I know you say that immigration, the Constitution, whatever, so on and so forth, isn't your strong suit. The economy, economics is. I get that part. But you heard him when he said things such as, immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. You heard him when he said that, they have bad genes. You heard him when he said these things. So, and I'm still trying to understand, when he didn't present any type of policy, but Kamala released an 82-page economic policy, which laid out steps on how she wanted, not what she wanted to do, but how she was going to get there. You still chose Donald Trump. That doesn't make any sense to me, especially as a person who claims to be a humanitarian.
Because the economic policy didn't make sense to me. Like, the logistics of taxing unrealized capital gains, but completely ignoring the unrealized loss part of it, didn't make any sense to me.
The logistics of a plan that had holes but was sound in reasoning versus no plan at all.
But even if the unrealized capital gains and the elimination of step up in basis and the elimination, all these tax loopholes that we use, right? All these things would have run the government for 7 days.
All right, wait, can I add something really quick?
Mm-hmm.
So, if Kamala had such a good economic plan, right, then why did she not express this plan or lay out this plan to reporters? Why did she not go on Joe Rogan, one of the biggest podcasts in the entire world, to go on?
She just didn't get an opportunity to.
She didn't get an opportunity to. She dodged every interview that the press tried to give her.
Yeah, I hear you, Dan. Listen, for you to sit here and say, oh, she didn't put the plan out, she didn't tell people about it. Like, Shiggy is just sitting here talking about how he didn't think the plan was an actual sound plan. So, I mean, Shiggy found the plan.
No. I mean, but here's the thing. She laid out a plan, an economic plan, but she didn't talk about it. That's the problem.
What economic plan did
she didn't discuss it. She didn't back up what she had written down.
Dan, what economic plan did Jimothy lay out?
That's not really the point, though.
No. It's the point now. What plan did Jimothy lay out?
Yeah, what did you have to contrast it to?
I mean, here's the thing, though. It's not really my point.
Dan,
simple question, man.
That's not really my point, though. That's not really my point.
Okay, so first off, she did. I honestly, I think that question is a little disingenuous, considering that most of our politicians, when it comes to the totality of said financial plans, they're not outlining it at rallies. That's not something that they do. Usually for the people who are a little bit more informed, they will go deeper into what they lay out and say her 82-page document and figure out everything else. And then we know the tax plan was pending, the one that Biden put out that Kamala Harris approved of, which was still due for some changes that Kamala Harris would have specifically.
You are vastly overestimating the intelligence of the American people right now.
Really not. I don't think
no.
Heard what I said clearly. So let me repeat myself.
Really assuming that
that's one of the reasons.
Most Americans read at, I think, a fifth grade reading level or something like that. What is
Dan? That's literally why I said what I said.
No one's overplaying or underestimating the Americans. Yeah, never mind. Anyway, go ahead, Hector. You got it.
Yeah, appreciate you. No, I'm literally saying you put it out there. Most people wouldn't have read it anyway. So that's not something that was going to be for just spoken up at a rally or economic institutes or things of that nature. Not to mention she was significantly limited on time. Donald Trump went to the Economic Institute of Chicago and sat there and rambled about stolen elections and how companies are going to eat the tariffs and Russia. It's like, I think that's a little bit of a
Again, though,
disingenuous question.
I mean, but Hector, though, you can't really make the argument though that Trump didn't Trump didn't hide from the press or hide from anybody. He always took questions. He always went on podcasts. He always
okay. I love when y'all bring up
Kamala,
this
on the other
point.
hand, didn't do any of that. So
No, I love when y'all bring up this point. What Donald Trump did, because he understands what a figure he is in the media, is he went to everyone that he could to get his message out there, knowing most people hate him, but there's a large portion of people, for some reason, the uneducated, I would argue, no offense to anyone else on the panel in regards to certain issues, didn't know things. So yes, he puts himself out there, and yes, he rambles. It kind of goes back to the conversation about how Kamala Harris, you only have 30-minute speeches, and Donald Trump can go on for 2 hours. I would take 30-minute speeches of substance compared to 2 hours of nothing, which is mostly what Donald Trump's rallies are. Have you listened to a full Donald Trump rally recently, or even before the election?
Actually, yeah, I went to one.
You went to one? Which one?
Yeah, one in Wildwood, New Jersey.
Oh, were you at the one in New Jersey where he had the food out on the table?
I believe so. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there very long because there's way too many people, but I didn't. So
how long were you there? I love that you said that. So that is actually
probably all right. No. The only reason why I left is because there was way too many people there, and it was ridiculous. So
sure. How long were you there?
I was there for about 2 hours, give or take.
2 hours. Okay. So I watched that entire rally. Okay. And this rally holds a special place in my heart as the day I decided that I actually hate that man. First off, the rally starts with a bunch of food out on the table, which I thought was a goddamn waste. So be it. Then he gets to talking about things like how the Biden-Harris administration lied to the American people and artificially inflated numbers of job growth so they can make their side look better. I'm sure Shiggy knows this. I think everyone else knows this. Maybe you don't. But their annual evaluations of said numbers, it's not uncommon for those numbers to change once they get the final report in the year after. In Donald Trump's peak of his administration, about 500,000 jobs were taken off from his record. Biden-Harris set the record for the most, 800,000, but that was of no decision that they made. But it didn't stop him from spreading that lie. And that was within the first 5-10 minutes of his rally. Did you know that?
Yeah, I was aware of some of that. Yeah.
Did you know it was a lie?
I mean, not entirely. I mean, what? I mean, I'm not gonna look. I'm not gonna try to sit here and say that Trump doesn't lie. I think all politicians lie. I think it's really
sure. There's all politicians.
I think it's kind of
it's
kind of dishonest to say that politicians don't lie.
Dan, just listen.
Our industry brilliant again. We have to make it bigger. I'm going to make it bigger than it was ever before. Now I'm going to make it very quick. It's going to go, but to bring it to that level, I guess I'll need a little more time. But I won't have that time. But I'm going to hand it over to people. We're going to make this country so strong. They call it a word salad. I don't really like those words because who the hell did that? I saw engines about 3-4 years ago. These things were coming, cylinders, no wings, no nothing. And they're coming down very slowly, landing on a raft in the middle of the ocean someplace with a circle. Boom. Reminded me of the Biden circles that he used to have, right? He'd have 8 circles and he couldn't fill them up.
Please stop.
Then I heard he beat us with the popular vote. I don't know. Couldn't fill up the 8 circles. I always loved those circles. They were so beautiful.
Say that embarrassing though.
Dan, just keep that in mind next time you talk about Donald Trump and all of that was him on the campaign trail. Yeah, head spinning. All of that was him on the campaign trail. So when you talk about, well, at least he was out there. Yeah, he was out there doing that. He was out there doing that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Hector.
No, no, you're right. I'm glad you played that. It's about substance. I could care less how long you talk. It's about what you say in the time that you were given. And unfortunately, with Donald Trump, it was a whole lot of nothing. I, for one, was excited. Actually, no. Get back to my old point. So you did not know that the Bureau of Labor Statistics report that he wrongfully cited as being some artificially inflated thing by the Biden-Harris administration was a lie, correct?
Wait, what was your question?
The Bureau of Labor Statistics report that he put out saying that Biden-Harris lied about adding 800,000 jobs to the market.
Well, I mean, that's not necessarily a lie because a lot of those jobs weren't new jobs; they were jobs that came back after COVID. People
Again,
it was simply people getting rehired or going back to work. So no, that number isn't technically accurate.
Well, it wasn't even about new jobs in totality. Not to mention, again, his claim specifically was that they were jobs that they manufactured to make their market look better. And then once the Bureau of Labor Statistics did their update, they showed that it was false. That wasn't the case at all. Again, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, part of the government kind of, but it's also independent. It doesn't rely on Biden-Harris to tell them what to do. So it was a lie, and it was intentional to mislead people.
Okay, but again, though, you wouldn't agree with me that some let's call that number isn't really accurate.
It is accurate because that it doesn't even sum up all jobs that were.
Or those were new. So you're saying that number is all new
jobs that was gained under that administration. Then there were ones that was returned. You're absolutely correct, and I do get irritated when people conflate the two, but doesn't change the fact that Donald Trump's claim specifically was a lie. The point of me bringing that up was that you probably didn't know that when you were watching the rally, or apparently you were there. And the reason why that rally specifically holds a special place in my heart is because I fact check at least half of it. For the first hour, I sat there and I looked up every single claim. Thank y'all for the gifts. Every single claim that man made. And I could not believe, truly, in October, I could not believe how much that man lies, how easy it was for him to do it, how he stood tall and proud afterwards. It made me uncomfortable.
What's up, Miss Corey? Everything Donald Trump does make me uncomfortable.
That part.
I hate the way he walked, the way that he
The way
talked.
he
I
talk.
hate the way that he dressed.
He's dressed.
I hate the way he sneaked this. Yeah.
So Dan, you can sit there and listen to this man.
Do you think that Harris was 100% like transparent?
I love how we're talking about Trump and you just have to pivot to Harris.
Let me real quick. W's in the chat for Phil. Phil sent a $1 donation saying Trump doesn't hide from questions, despite him always going off on a tangent. What does, quote, that nasty question, don't ask the president a question like that mean? You're absolutely right. W's in the chat for Phil for that $1 donation. Also, guys, W's in the chat. Hold on, where is this? Here it is. W's in the chat for Gene. Gene sent a $1 donation saying, here's $1 to kick Hector. Listen, as much as we allow Hector to hold these L's, you're going to have to send a whole of a hell lot more for me to drop Hector off the panel. Now, Hector, don't take this wrong, but everybody has a price. It's just not $1 for you, my friend.
I don't have a
No,
price.
absolutely not.
Everybody got a price.
Multiply that by about 357. Maybe we have a deal.
More than that. I'm not cheap and easy. I mean,
Amen.
sometimes I might be easy. Sometimes I might be cheap, but I am never cheap and easy.
Depends on the night.
That was in the chat for Shiggy. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I have a few to read off. Also,
Yeah, go ahead,
Phil
Eric.
sent $2 earlier in regards to the Apple discussion. Phil said Apple's total U.S. sales is 43%. To move all operations back to the U.S., they would need to have logistics, supply chain to make sense, and facilities cost reduction, workforce, etc. to work. So basically, they'll have to do a lot, which may end up costing them more money, anyways. Also, so shout out to Phil for that one, and also let me see.
Erica,
here.
can I respond to that while you're on it, or do you want to finish what you're saying? I'm sorry.
I gotta.
Yeah,
finish these.
good.
Mr. Ty, you finally got the date right. Thank you. All right, shout out to Mr. Ty for the 20. He said, "Happy birthday, E! I finally got the date right, but I hope you have a great one and enjoy yourself. Have a drink on me." Yes, sir. We'll definitely do. And also shout out to Anna for the 25. Anna said, happy birthday, beautiful and smart lady. I hope you have a blessed one. Thank you, love. I appreciate you so much. Drop a heart in the chat, like drop some hearts in the chat for everyone who donated tonight. You guys are freaking fantastic. Might be the best birthday ever. All right. So yeah, I have a question though. I did have something to say. So Hector just went over for you, Dan, how basically Donald Trump lied. So my question is, because what's happened has happened. All right. Moving forward, all right. What do you do? Will you be more apt to actually research what you hear, like look into what you hear Donald Trump say, or will you continue to take him at face value?
Well, I mean, I never said I do take him at face value. I said before that politicians lie, and I'm not going to disagree with that. I'm not going to try to sit here and say that I believe everything that comes out of Trump's mouth. That would be ridiculous. But
you believe the $800,000 job creation lie, and you went on to actually defend your position by saying that they basically were bounce back jobs. But a simple research, you can simply find an article that was printed by EconoFact in July of 2024. So this is prior to the elections. I think this is even like prior to Harris even becoming a nominee, because she became a nominee right in July, I believe. Anywho, it confirms that 14.6 million net jobs were added under the first 3 years of the Biden-Harris administration. So you can confirm this information. These are things that you can look into. So that's why I asked you the question, are you going to be more apt to actually research what it is that Donald Trump says moving forward?
And like I said, that's fair. But I mean, the reason
So
why
no, you're not going to be?
So no, you're not going to research?
No, I said that I would, but
Oh.
I don't agree. I
Okay,
don't
cool,
agree.
cool,
I don't
cool.
agree with that point that it's like, there's also counter research that says the opposite. So I don't know
Where you find this counter research?
Yeah, where? This is a fact check.
Listen, see my background here? This is all I care about. I don't care about Democrats or Republicans. I care about the math. So by all means, if you have some information to provide to me, also it's marketing. I got my shop up. Check the link in the link tree in my bio. But if you have some information you can provide to us, by all means, please share that. I would love to see it.
Can I share my response about the Apple comment?
Yeah, I don't care about being correct. I don't care about being right. I care about being accurate.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Erica, what I was saying about Apple was by no means trying to talk about getting the jobs back here, because that's logistically it's not going to happen. Our unemployment's too, like, who's going to work the factories? It's just not going to happen. It would take 10 years anyway. We can't do it as efficiently, none of that. So I'm not talking about the jobs and the manufacturing of anything Apple related come back here. I'm talking about the idea of operating under capital export neutrality is that all of the tax money comes back to the United States, not the actual manufacturing and the jobs. That's what I mean by that.
Okay.
So I just wanted to clarify that for whoever
I
said
knew we
that.
were talking about the tax loopholes.
Yeah.
But I think that brings me back to something else. But y'all go ahead. I don't want to hijack the conversation.
Let me do this real quick.
Thank you, Peaches.
Guys, there's almost 500 of us hanging out here, and listen, I don't often make requests of the chat. But it is Erica's birthday weekend. She is turning 75 tomorrow, which is a major milestone. It's a major milestone. And she's at 16.4K coins. I would love to get Erica over 20K coins. So
put me on the big screen.
Nah, we can't do all that. Hold on now. Well, I guess I gave Hector for a second. I'll give it to you for a second.
That is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I normally don't give people the big screen. Anyway, she's turning 75 soon. Can we get her over 20K coins? Can we show Erica some love and get her over 20K coins? Let's do all the things. She's at 17 now. Yes, 75. I would not lie to you.
I am almost 75 years old.
But yeah, let's do the things. Also, guys, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links in the link tree in the bio. Hers is everything with Erica. If you want to show some birthday love, buy her some shots, or like a birthday cake or whatever. Like, let's just make sure that we are doing all the wonderful things. And Hector is up here as well, and he's almost close to at least a band, right? 1K. So let's show Hector some love. Not a lot, just some.
Just a little bit.
Just a little. You just give him a little piece, just a little piece of love.
No, okay, I tried. Never mind. Hey, shout out to Beverly. Oh, it's Sky. Shout out to Sky for the 35 for happy birthday,
Not the
Erica. Enjoy
swan.
your B-Day weekend. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sky. Awesome. Okay. So where are we gonna go? I do want to say, if the time allows, that Shiggy did say earlier that he disagrees with the mediocre moderate.
Ooh, yes.
And we were trying to get there, but then we went off into some taxes, and I was like, God damn it.
Shiggy's a mediocre moderate.
Oh, I think so. I really do. He
He
is.
is.
I literally think he is.
I'm
He's
definitely
no
mediocre.
Republican. He is no Republican.
I like
know that much.
Shiggy, man. I like Shiggy. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not just saying that
No,
because
no,
he got money.
I'm legitimately pissed at Shiggy because again, his vote doesn't make sense. It
You want to
doesn't.
like me, Santana? That's the problem.
I don't agree with that one. Like your vote just doesn't like. But
Well, maybe
that's
that's why-
what I'm
maybe
talking about
that's
when I
why
say
I'm here.
mediocre moderates, because like you're there, you're right there.
Maybe that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Right?
Wait, go ahead. Give us your position why you disagree with it.
Because I think that's the only way for us to ever find any type of compromise that works. Not that the government ever finds a compromise that really works for us, but how do, if you're saying mediocre moderates doesn't work, then you're saying that we need to be more extreme, right? We need
Yes,
to
more
move-
progressive. Yes, more of the things.
But more of the things is never going to get elected. So why not try to make a compromise that works for everybody? And I don't think some things should be a compromise. So, like for example, I listen to Laney's Live a lot, and I've listened.
None of this makes sense. Anyway, go ahead.
And I've learned a whole lot, right? And I don't think that like advocating or like allowing someone to be who they are is a compromise. Like that's not a compromise. That just should be something that's given, right? That's like an inalienable right that should be from the beginning. But if you're talking about things like, let's say Santana, you and I sat down, I was like, all right, I want to cut the military spending in half and we're going to send it all to HUD to house our homeless. Could we agree on that?
Yeah.
Don't you think that that's moderation?
No. What do you mean?
I would
Helping
actually
the
give some-
unhoused?
Yeah. Is it homeless not, should I say unhoused?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, how's that moderation? No, that's the things. That's what I'm talking about.
So I guess what you're saying, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you don't think even the Democrats that are in are left enough.
No,
right?
exactly.
You want more progressive.
Yeah.
But then you go more progressive, then you get the right goes the other way, and then you got a
They're
disaster.
already there though. Like they're
No.
literally
Yeah, they're
stripping
there.
away the rights of people that like women don't have access to bodily autonomy. Transgender people can't even serve in the military anymore. Like what are we doing?
Due process.
Yeah,
Let's say,
like
Being
habeas
skirted,
corpus.
Thinking
Outta
about getting
here.
rid of suspending habeas corpus.
They want to deport
very
American
far right.
citizens, Shiggy.
Homegrowns is what they call them.
Homegrowns.
Homegrowns.
The first month, I believe, or two of his administration, he passed an executive order directing DHS to that allowed them to change their policy books to allow them to spy on transgender people if they feel that they are criminals, solely based off the fact that they're trans. Imagine the government being able to spy on me based off of a characteristic that I cannot change, being my blackness. And that's exactly what they did for trans people. I have a serious problem with that. Yeah, I know.
No, we did that.
Hector, I'm
been
not
done.
by no means questioning like what you're saying, but do you have a number for that or something? I'd like to read that.
Yeah, give me a moment.
Okay.
Also, while he's grabbing that, guys, Erica's at 19.6K. Let's go ahead and get her over 20K for her birthday. She's right there. Erica, have you ever gotten 20K coins?
I don't think so.
Exactly. Boom. That's a record.
You know you blocked my sugar daddy. I just want to let you know that.
That ain't got nothing to do with me. That's above me.
Okay, it's above you now.
That's
All
above
right,
me
got
now.
it. Okay.
And Hector,
I
was
don't
not
like him,
questioning-
so I don't mind that.
I know.
Hector, I was not questioning your integrity.
No, I appreciate I have no problem
Thank you,
sourcing what I say. I
Erica.
appreciate the people who ask instead of just saying it's not true. So give me a sec.
Because I would be
Like-
very, very against that.
Or
Very
we could talk
against
about, oh no, unblock the money, man. Nah.
Not the money man. So I think that that Shiggy said that a more progressive candidate would force the right to be basically would push them more right.
Would make them
They're
more
already
yeah, exactly. Make them more
yeah,
of what
they're
they
already
already are.
there.
E.
Yeah, they're already there, dude. And so I think that we can look back in history because I love me some history, and we can just look at like FDR's 1932 platform. He ran on a more progressive platform and was actually able to win. And it's because Hoover did a really, really, really poop job. All right. Hoover basically decimated the U.S. economy, and the Smoot-Hawley Act was one of those reasons. So I would think, and this is kind of hypothetical, but the trajectory in which we are moving on under the Trump administration, I feel like it's going to set up it's going to set the stage for a more progressive candidate to actually come into play. So I think that could actually happen, Shiggy. What do you think about that?
I
think
think
that's a no-go?
you're very accurate about Hoover. Accurate about FDR, except the exacerbation of the Great Depression and all that was very much fueled by the Federal Reserve. And
you hate the Federal Reserve.
I mean, I got to, man. How do I not? I could go on for hours about what they've done. I could go on for hours about what they did during the Great Depression. I could go, or during the global financial crisis, about what they did during COVID.
Yeah,
like,
but who sparred all that on though?
What do you mean? Who created the Federal Reserve?
No, who
No, the
like
latter
who
part,
created
during
the
COVID.
response? I mean, who created the actual issue with the Great Depression that the Federal Reserve had to respond to? Who created those market crashes that the Federal Reserve had to respond to?
Well, it was the Federal Reserve in the first place.
No, it was
Right,
the
keep it-
Republican Party.
No. That's so. So this is by far, I would say, where I can chime in on. And I'm not a historian. I'm a finance PhD, so I'm not going to pretend to know everything about history. But if cheap money, speculation, and margin, what drove that? It wasn't the Republican Party. It was the Federal Reserve giving out money like it was free.
But so you don't think that the Smoot-Hawley Act actually exacerbated the trajectory towards the Great Depression?
For sure, it absolutely did, but it didn't cause it.
Well,
No,
it was
no
a
one ever
major
said that.
factor. How about
no,
that?
it didn't cause it at all. The Great Depression happened in October of 1929. Smoot-Hawley went into place in 1930, so it
Oh, right.
exacerbated it. It had no
Correct.
cause. It has no cause. So it made it worse. For
Yeah,
something that we
that's
could have
what I meant.
recovered within like a year and a half time, it took like 4 or 5 years in order to do so. And we had to get FDR, again, a more progressive president in there to actually implement social programs and basically put people into jobs. Like he did the Works program, where he actually gave men jobs, like something to actually do. And I have a conspiracy about World War II, but we don't have to talk about it in public.
Let's go. I love a good conspiracy.
We don't have to talk about it in public.
All right, fair enough.
I
Fair
do
enough.
have
yeah.
I have the manual here, and I have the page where the change was made. Well, the quote where the change was made, but I'm trying to get you the page specifically. But what they did is they replaced gender with sex. So the sex you're assigned at the birth, and that's where the controversy comes in. A DHS spokesperson did come out and say that they will not be doing so, but the problem is unless we have it on the books, a lawyer can argue that it is justified later on because lawyers are sleazy. But yeah, I'll get the specific page for you in a second.
No, I
Hey, one of-
appreciate it. And this is where I'd say I'm probably, and don't take this wrong, blissfully ignorant about some of these things, but.
Hey, one other quick thing, guys. I know a lot of people watching this and think that, oh, it's Santana. I know Santana. I watch Santana. Guys, make sure you're following me because this is the alternate account. The main account is in purgatory, but fingers crossed. So as of right now, make sure you are following this account. You have to, if you look up at the top and you don't see a heart, if you see follow, click that follow button because you're not following me. So make sure you click that follow button up at the top to make sure that you're following this account as well. Also, if you are following, if you look up here and you see that you're following and you have not sent, if that's gray, right? If it's gray, hit that to send your daily heart. It's only 1 coin. It adds you to the team. It boosts the live. Now, when you hit that, that's what she said. You have to make sure that you go back and actually claim your daily heart. So if you don't claim it, it doesn't count. You have to go back and you have to claim it as well.
So Santana, this is where I have to go back to my Federal Reserve rant. And the difference between Democrats and Republicans when they serve in the Federal Reserve is that I have been more impressed with the way Republicans operate the Federal Reserve in a more hawkish manner versus a more dovish manner. And I could give some.
But not as of recently.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
not
Record
Jay
low
Powell?
interest rates.
not Trump Republicans.
No, I'm talking about the Federal Reserve, right? So not
What?
not Congress.
Yeah, no. I mean, not since you said Republicans in the sense of like the actual stance of the people who are. Are you okay? Are you speaking about Jerome Powell?
Jerome
Specific-
Powell, Arthur Burns, Paul
Okay.
Volcker,
Okay.
Janet
Never
Yellen,
mind. All right.
all
All
those
right.
people.
I'm sorry. You got it.
I think they've been better stewards of our money. Not that I believe the Fed should exist at all, but if there's going to be one, I want somebody to be a hawk and not a dove, right? Hawk meaning they're more tight with our money.
I do like, and I do like how Jerome Powell doesn't allow like the pressure to,
Get to him.
yeah, and it's not just
I like
a
that
Trump
too.
thing. I mean, overall, he's kind of called balls and strikes, and I can appreciate that.
He's done a pretty good job. He's got a little bit of a shoddy past. I think he's trying to make up for it. But
I just
I don't know
want
if
to
you
do a
know
quick
about
shout
all that,
out.
but that's another.
Go ahead, E.
We'll keep it for another day.
All right, quick shout out to John for the $1 to kick Hector. I am not a mod around here, but thank you for the $1.
Damn. Hector, what the hell, man? I thought
They
they
think
kicked
I'm
me
worth
first.
$1 and it's disrespectful.
I know. I don't understand. I've
You thought
already
you were worth
explained it.
$2.
Listen, you ever heard of there's a triangle, right?
What triangle?
Triangle.
That wasn't me.
What the hell?
Did you kick Hector?
That wasn't me.
Oh wow.
Who did that?
Take a guess.
Oh, okay. All right. Got it.
That wasn't me.
Damn, am I next?
I don't know. You could be.
Could happen at any
Time
time.
to go.
Yeah, see, somebody said $1 make you holler. Listen, the point that that I was trying to make is, so there's there's a pyramid, right? If you want something, you can get it cheap, fast, or good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but it can't be all three.
That's
Can't
right.
be. And so for me, if you want something done, or with me, I'm cheap. I'm easy and I'm fun. So I might be cheap and easy, but I ain't gonna be fun. I might be fun and cheap, but I ain't gonna be easy. So you got to pick two. You can't have it all. Hector, that wasn't me. You got raptured. Somebody thought that was funny, and I can't really say anything about it. So,
But don't you think if I listed off, like, let's say a bunch of the chairmans of the Fed, in general, we could bucket those and say, okay, these people did a good job, these people did a bad job. Most of those that did not a great job would have happened to be Democrat.
I don't know. I would have to sit down and actually take a look, like
Look
a
at
real
'em.
look at that. I
Arthur
can't push
Burns.
back on it without like looking at a list, but
Well, so this will be like, and I'll just throw some names out there, do some research. So like, look up Arthur Burns, Janet Yellen. Those would be in the bad category. Look up Jay Powell, Thomas Hoenig, Jerome, or what's his name? Paul Volcker. Good category. Let's do some research on what they did for the country. I think it's a talking point. It's not a, not trying to get a gotcha or anything.
no. I mean, I get where you're coming from. All right, guys. I think that hold on.
You're not at 100,000 likes yet, and I don't like it. I don't like it at
It's
all.
been a wonky night.
Yeah, if you want, I'm probably boring the living shit out of everybody, so I don't want to mess your algorithm up. You want to drop me down?
No, good. Guys. Although we come to the end of the road, till I can't let go. It's time to go. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here.
Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. It's late. Oh, it's time for me to take a birthday thingy with Corey. I gotta do a birthday.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, guys. Remember, if you they said you got 1 minute. Remember, hit Erica's pay links. Hit her pay link. Show her some love. Show Erica some love. Yeah. W's in the chat for Aveline, who sent $5 to drop Hector. I did it. Tell him Santana did it. Hector, that wasn't personal, and it wasn't even about the money. It was about the person. Wasn't even about the money. It was about the person. Wasn't even about the money. It was about the person. W's in the chat for Aveline for the 5.
All
right.
It's gonna take about a good 10 G's to drop me, so you can't do it. So
You know what? If it wasn't your birthday weekend, I would have literally just dropped you just now. Like literally. I would have did it. I would have did it off GP just now. All right, let's get this up. Let's do this. Guys, tonight has been wonky at best. And that's because of me. We can't hear you all these smooth jazz. No, you cannot come up, Sam. Box me to dance. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that means. I don't know, guys. I'm sorry. Tonight has been kind of wonky, but you know what? Tomorrow's another day. It's a new day. Yes, it is. We'll be better tomorrow.
It's a new day.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna get out of here, guys. Thank you for all the taps, the shares, the likes, the gifts. Thank you for all the love. Thank you guys for showing Erica some birthday love. Erica, happy birthday, guys. Thank you all. I love you all, and as always,